Money Advice Service found more than half of people are having difficulty keeping up with bills. These people admit they're struggling with money.
We've just been paid today, and that's all gone out on bills. So we've got about £10 to live on for until next week now. I've got 2 kids, so it's quite hard.
I find the money runs out in 2-3 days. But can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? And by the next time you get your money, you're giving it back to the other people that you've lent it on.
Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help bridge a £7.5 million funding gap. It's asking the public how often they visit a station. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes has more.
The force says it costs £3 million a year to keep the stations open. However, it says many are underused and in need of refurbishment. It would be better, Beds Police says, to spend the money on more PCSOs or frontline officers. The Police Commissioner for Bedfordshire is consulting with residents about how they use police stations, but says no decisions about the future of stations in the county have already been taken.
People in Ware say they've been let down by Biffa Waste Services and the Environment Agency after living with the smell of rotting waste for 9 years. Last year they won their long-running court battle against the Westmill landfill site, but they're still living with the smell. Roger Hobbs lives on the nearby Vicarage estate.
You have to be careful when you invite people round in case this smell occurs, and I can see it envisages it's going to go on for another couple of years yet. It ruins your life, really.
In sport, Australia will resume on 303 for 3 on the second day of the third Ashes test at Old Trafford. Captain Michael Clarke finished on 125 not out and Stephen Smith is unbeaten on 70. The weather for Beds, Herts and Bucks will cloud over this morning with showery rain. Sunny spells this afternoon, but with thundery showers. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Morning to listener Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 3 minutes past 6 is Friday. Wowzers, it's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. R. Kelly style. No, hang on, no. I'm not doing that. Lots coming up on the show today. Today we are talking compensation. One woman is in line for £1 million after lifting a baby. A set of neighbours want compensation for living with a smell. It's a horrible smell and they've lived with it for 9 years. And no, you can't claim compensation for Justin Dealey being on this show, but are you excited about tomorrow? Dealey's finding out. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
And also, there's a story in one of the proper newspapers that doesn't peddle in filth, the Telegraph, well, it does a bit. There's loads of women topless in parks in London, because it was a bit hot yesterday, and we as a nation don't know how to handle it. These women stripped off. Now, when we say stripped off, she looks like Mel C. When we say stripped off, they're lying on their front with their bra straps undone, a little bit of side boobage going on. A couple of them wearing very small pants as well. I don't think that's appropriate in Hyde Park at St Paul. Outside St Paul's Cathedral, it's a house of God. God doesn't want to see side boobs. He can see them anytime he wants. He's omnipresent and omnipotent. I don't know if it's been happening in the Three Counties. It probably has. Topless in town. Is it ever acceptable, men and women? No, I'll tell you what, it's not. These deviants should be locked up and thrown in prison and put on the sex offenders register as far as I'm concerned. Seriously, I think it's awful. I don't want to see semi-nude people wandering about through town. You go into Lidl and there are topless fat men in there wandering around with their massive knockers wobbling about. You go into a park and there's a woman topless. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I think it's inappropriate. You've seen it. It's awful, isn't it? 08459 455 555. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But first, a former nursery worker has won her case against her employer in Harpenden after damaging her back getting a baby in and out of a cot. The amount of compensation she'll receive is expected to be over £1 million. Well, to find out more about this, it's our baby lifting correspondent, Catherine Boyle, who's in the studio. Morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
What happened?
Well, Eileen Cooper was working at the Rothamsted Little Stars nursery, which is in Harpenden, as you said, when she suffered what turned out to be a pretty serious injury to her back. Now, she says the sides of the cot that they have there chair, they're supposed to drop down. You're probably familiar with them.
I know the drop downs.
So you'd have to lean over because it can be quite awkward. So you don't have to lean over to get the babies in and out. But in this case, the drop down mechanism on the cot didn't work, so she had to stretch right over every time she got a child in or out. Now, in her testimony to court, Eileen says she was putting the baby into the cot when she felt a sharp pain in her back. She then sat down to soothe the baby who was in the cot to sleep. She's sitting down in this chair next to the cot, and she reached her arm over to stroke him. She heard a loud crack, and immediately her legs became heavy and numb, which is never a good sign. The medical evidence in court suggested that she slipped a disc, but then that prolapsed disc damaged her spinal cord. She's been left with this rare condition called cauda equina.
What did the court find against the employers?
Well, Eileen Cooper claimed that the nursery was in breach of health and safety regulations because she was required to use that broken cot, and the court agreed. The finding was that Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden failed to follow its own health and safety risk assessments. And the court also found that the nursery required her to use the faulty cots in breach of their own manual handling procedures, so they had something written in their policy. So the syndrome she suffered, I mentioned before, cauda equina syndrome, it's rare and it can cause intense neurological back pain, similar to permanent sciatica. I'm thankfully I've never suffered with it, but I know people who have, and
nasty.
And this people, as well as this, people can suffer from bladder and bowel dysfunction as well as incontinence. Mrs. Cooper's now been left needing crutches to get about and often requires a wheelchair.
Well, in terms of compensation, what do we know about that?
Well, the amount of compensation that Eileen will receive, and it may be a number of years before she receives that, which you heard in the news bulletin there with Lee, but that will be decided at a later hearing. Although looking through at the precedent set, cauda equina syndrome typically attracts compensation well in excess of £1 million, because sufferers can seldom return to work for the reasons I told you about before, some of the things that can happen. They'll need assistance from carers, and they'll also need to get changes made to their homes to make them more adaptable. OK, Catherine, we'll leave it there. Well, after 7 o'clock, I'll be speaking to Eileen Cooper's solicitor to find out more about the case. We'll also be hearing from the Association of British Insurers later this morning. Catherine, before you go, you're a fan of kind of mid to late 90s, maybe even early 21st century kind of light dance music about celebrating the weekend? What, mid to late?
Mid to late.
Yeah, I'm quite partial, yeah.
Well, that's a coincidence, because have a listen to this.
Now, usually I don't do this, but go ahead on, break them off with a little previews of the remix. Now I'm not trying to be rude, but hey pretty girl, I'm feeling you. The way you do the things you do reminds me of my Lexus cool. That's why I'm all up in your grill, trying to get you to a hotel. You must be a football coach, the way you got me playing the field. So baby, give me that, and let me get that. Running her hands through my fro, bouncing on 24s. Why they saying I'm ready? It's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. Sipping on coke and rum, I'm like, so what, I'm drunk. It's the freaking weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some fun. Bounce, 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 bounce. Come on. Now it's like murder, she rolled. Once I get you out them clothes, privacy's on the door, but still they can hear you screaming more. Girl, I'm feeling what you're feeling. No more hoping and wishing. I'm about to take my key and stick it in the ignition. So give me that, let me get that. Running her hands through my fro, bouncing on 24s. Why they saying I'm ready? It's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. Sipping on coke and rum, I'm like, so what, I'm drunk. It's the freaking weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some fun. Crystal popping in the Stretch Navigator. We got food everywhere, as if the party was catered. We got fellas to my left, honey's on my right. We bring them both together, we got juking all night. Then after the show, it's the after party. Yeah, and after the party, it's the hotel lobby. Yeah, around about 4, you gotta fill the lobby. Then take it to your room and somebody. Can I get a? Can I get a? Running her hands through my fro, bouncing on 24. Come on, why they saying I'm ready? It's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. Sipping on coke and rum, I'm like, so what, I'm drunk. It's the freaking weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some fun. It's the remix to Ignition, mission. Hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing. Sipping on coke and rum. I'm like, so what? I'm drunk. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. Come on. Girl, we off in this Jeep, fogging windows up, blasting the radio, in the back of my truck, bouncing up and down, stroke it round and round, to the remix, we just thugging it out.
R. Kelly, one of his songs there. Anybody else excited that Heaven's Gate is being re-released? Anybody? No? Just me? The 1980 Folly from Michael Cimino, director of The Deer Hunter, starring Christopher Walken and Chris Christopherson. Cimino. It's a che. You're pulling a face there, Catherine. What's your problem?
That's a really rude term in Spanish.
Cimino? What does it mean?
Can't tell you.
Really? Is it the men or women? Oh, my goodness gracious me. I can only apologise to our Spanish listeners, of which I know we have many. But that's a man's name. It's a director's name, Michael Cimino. What are you going to do about it? Sue me? Probably. You'll fail. Well, you might be successful. Some have in the past. Shall we have a quick look at the front pages? Yes, why not? Huh? I'm going to play a Mama Cass song again later on. I played it yesterday. We've had lots and lots of requests to play it again. I say lots and lots. Justin Dealey said, oh, that was a nice Mama Cass song you played yesterday. I took that as a request. If you extrapolate from that sample of one, that means literally 100% of the population wants to hear it again. The Independent, your hell is just beginning. Ariel Castro hears from his victims. This is one of the gentlemen that locked those 3 women in the basement of his house. And boy, as the details come out, doesn't that story sound even more horrific than it did? They were locked in his house for 11 years. He'd make them wear a motorcycle helmet before he raped them. He's been sentenced to life prison. And 1,000 years. Life imprisonment and 1,000 years. Yeah, we're going to sentence you to life imprisonment. Oh, no. And 1,000 years. Oh, man! That is the scene from Stir Crazy. Oh. The new stop and search spot checks at stations in hunt for illegal immigrants. Home Office officials have conducted a series of racist and intimidatory spot checks to search for illegal immigrants in the wake of the government's Go Home or Face Arrest campaign. Also, there's a load of new peers, have been announced, including the bloke from Ministry of Sound, the dance club awful music compilation man. Really? Blimey! What has he done? The Guardian, inside GCHQ. How the US pays Britain's spy agency £100 million for a very special relationship. Oh dear. The Times, is that Anna Friel? Well. She's got a silly fascinator on her head. Banks take £18 billion. Oh, boring. Let's have a look at the Mail, shall we? The Mail, the paragon of all that is right and virtuous in our publishing. Never has anything inappropriate or vaguely sexual. Turn to page 3, I can see a bit of a woman's backside! The Mail is one of these papers that hates filth, it hates pornography, it hates sexism within the BBC, it hates the BBC, but... Page 3, I can see the top of a woman's backside! One of the most... If you want to see some mucky stuff, but you want to dress it up as being legitimate research, go to the Daily Mail website. It is filth. Seriously. The front page of the Mail is a picture of that lady who probably isn't... I'm going to say it now. Is not pregnant by Simon Cowell. Oh, he's got a new series of X Factor starting soon and he's got a lady pregnant and he hasn't. Murdering stepfather was jailed in Britain 3 times. The Express, there's Simon Cowell baby shock. Mystery of star stays silent over claims he's to be a dad because he's not a dad because he's got a new TV series starting soon. He's not got her pregnant. I will bet you now, Catherine Boyle, I bet you now he has not got her pregnant.
I'm not joining in the bet.
Why?
I believe that you're right.
Oh, but so do you want to bet a fiver?
So we'll both bet someone else.
Bet me?
No. Because I could lose and I don't believe it.
Well, you believe it.
All right.
£5?
OK.
Sweet. House prices to rise by £33,000. Oh, and The Sun. New baby bombshell, Simon Cruel. That doesn't work. His name's Simon Cowell. Simon Cruel. Am I missing something? Simon Gruel? Simon Fuel? What is that? Simon Cruel. His name is Cowell. Simon Crowell. Simon Callis. If it was Simon Callow, it could be Simon Callis.
Simon Growl.
Simon Growler. Oh, no, hang on. Simon Cowell has been named in divorce papers after getting a pal's wife pregnant. He's not got her pregnant, and Catherine Boyle's going to give me £5 this afternoon.
Even though I don't think he's got her pregnant.
Exactly, thank you.
How did that happen?
Why are you talking?
You shut my mic then.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
They could have used Simon Fowle, maybe. I don't know. That's the closest
Adam's
I can
back.
come up to something.
Adam's back. Adam's back.
I know.
Come on, Adam. Who writes that stuff?
I don't know. They pay people at the Sun to do it.
Oh, no, it's ridiculous. I'm going to work. We're going to come up with a good one by the end of the day.
All right, fair enough.
Cheers, my dears.
We'll have a go. No props. It's been a good start to the day. No delays on the roads at the minute. Speed sensor's not picking up any problems on the M25, even through the roadworks section. And for the minute, roadworks don't seem to be causing any hold-ups elsewhere either. Taking a look at the trains, though, and we've already got disruption today. Greater Anglia affected, 45-minute delays because of overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. This is affecting them on the line between Cambridge and Liverpool Street. Cancellations to be expected as well. And if you are planning on making a connection into Stansted Airport, the Stansted Express has been affected. If you're going in toward London, tubes are all looking good. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. We'll speak to you later. 6:17. It's Friday, the 2nd of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A woman from Luton who is badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help save £7.5 million. Weather today turned cloudy this morning, sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Coming up, bad smells. The people of Ware are fed up living with the smell of an old landfill site. Well, we'll find out about them in a little bit.
BBC Three Counties Radio. If you've got a problem with a company, a council or an organisation, there's one man you should come and speak to.
You've got a problem with a mattress, I gather.
Tell me all about it without naming any company name.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Well, every time she tried to book, the trip was cancelled because of adverse weather.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
Said send the receipt off and you'll get the cheque in the post.
If you need our help,
I went to speak to the man that runs this golf club.
Email jvsshow@bbc.co.uk.
I'm just very pleased that you've got the money.
And we could do the same for you.
Thanks ever so much, Jonathan.
The JVS Show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the phone number. Residents of one neighbourhood in Hertfordshire claim they've been living what they describe as the smell of rotting flesh for almost 9 years. Oh dear. Biffle Waste Services, who run the West Mills site near Ware, lost a High Court battle last year after ignoring complaints about the odours emitted by their landfill site. However, since the court case, people living on the Vicarage estate say the smell is still there and they want compensation. I'm not quite sure how compensation is going to help. They could spend it all on incense and those plug-in air fresheners maybe. We sent our reporter, Sophie Solaria, to meet Alan Warman, one of the people affected, to get a sense of the problem. Sense of smell.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Nice to see you.
So, Alan, I join you on your home here in Wheatsheaf Drive, where you've lived now for
28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
So when you moved here, did it smell when you bought your house?
Not at all. No, it was. We didn't even realise the Biffle were there until 2004 when we started getting the smells and the flies and the blue bottles and all the bird infestation, and the smells still haven't gone away. And I just feel that it's becoming a thing now that is quite aggravating.
Just how many residents has this smell affected?
Well, it's got to be over 200. Just recently, with the hot weather we've had, it's been rather pungent, to say the least. And again, on another extreme, it could be smelly on a rainy day.
I think we should really take a look ourselves and see just how bad it is.
Yes, of course, I quite agree.
Just as we walk, I actually can smell quite a strong smell of rubbish. It smells like off food, to be honest.
Yes, and sometimes in the very strong occasions you also get it like rotting flesh.
Oh. Roger, you live very near Biffa's waste site as well. How long have you suffered with this smell?
Coming up to 7 years now. it's still there, and then nothing seems to be done about it. It's just putting your head in the dustbin, and it's not very nice when the summer months are here. You know, you do suffer really poorly with it.
And it's not just the smell, is it?
No, it's not only the smell. I mean, we suffer with brown dust coming across. Sometimes it's really, really bad. I go out there, wipe my patio table, and it is literally filthy dirty through the dust coming from the landfill site. You have to be careful when you invite people round, in case this smell occurs. It ruins your life, really.
Madam, I just stop you there. You live very near Biffa's landfill site as well. Can you tell me how you've suffered from the smells in the past?
It just means you can't use the garden, basically. You have to stay in the house, keep the window shut.
You don't use your own garden?
No, not when the smell was bad. You just couldn't sit out there.
Well, it has affected us a lot.
Can you describe that smell to me?
Well, it's just unpleasant. Not at all nice at all, you know.
So, Alan, you've now brought me to a path which is fairly near the site, and now the smell is particularly pungent. The rain is coming down. The smell of rubbish is just intense.
It hits you.
You can breathe it in, and
Yes.
you can almost taste it in your mouth.
Yes.
We've approached a gate now. This gate leads onto the site that
Yes,
Biffa
that's right. Yes.
holds.
There you are. You can see where they've started lining another cell, ready for deposit of rubbish which comes from London.
In conclusion to our tour, I can conclude from your reaction that you just don't feel like anything will get sorted anytime soon.
No, that's very true. But they're a company that will not speak to residents. They seem to have this blockade. We don't want to speak to you. You're a hindrance, and because of the fact that you have raised questions against what we're trying to do.
Expert, smokers, don't you think the joker loves it?
BBC Three Counties Radio. I wonder if the Beatles ever did drugs. I do hope not. I'll be very, very disappointed if they did. Very disappointed. Just heard a report from Sophie Solari about the people of Ware who live next to a stinky, dinky landfill, and they are not very happy. They want some financial compensation. Well, Tony Milton Keynes, call us 08459 455 555. Do you back their claims for compensation, Tony?
Hello, Ian. It's Tony from Milton Keynes. Right,
yes,
first of all,
I know.
I used to tip in that landfill site when I worked for East Herts District Council.
OK.
That was many moons ago. Yes, it is bad over there, but I don't understand why the residents are moaning. If the people are getting their bins emptied, they need to be able to empty the lorry. Where do you empty the lorry if they can't tip at the landfill site? The only other place is London Waste down in London, but it costs too much to tip the lorries there. That's why they go to the landfill. So I can't understand what the residents are moaning about.
They're moaning.
The smell is bad.
They're moaning about the smell being bad, Tony.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say to you. When I used to work for the council, East Herts,
yes,
we tip our lorries in there. I'm not there now, but
right.
It is bad.
Yes.
But there's nowhere else for them to tip their lorries.
But why?
If they didn't get their rubbish picked up,
yes,
they'd soon moan.
Yes, but why should they have to live with the smell of rotting fish and meat and rubbish? Why should they have to live with that?
Right, let me tell you how they work over there. They put sprays down. They
right, well,
put
they
an
obviously
air freshener spray over.
Right, well, that's not effective.
No, but it's only in the summer you can smell it. The winter time you don't smell it.
But Tony, even if it's only in the summer, you don't want to be sat in your back garden or having a shower or in your bedroom and you can smell rotting fish.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, but where are the council meant to tip their waste if they won't pay to have it tipped in the incinerator?
Well, that's a different question.
Well, that's the answer then, isn't it?
Well, no, you can't. How can it be an answer with a question mark at the end of it?
Well, in one breath they're saying they're moaning that they're living next to a landfill site.
Yes.
If they were to tip their waste in London Waste,
yes,
which is the big incinerator,
yes,
you wouldn't have that problem, would you?
I would imagine that Ware was there before the landfill. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not too sure on
okay,
that.
I would imagine that was the case. That does seem a little bit unfair. You live in a nice little village or a small little town, and suddenly a stinky landfill pops up and it blights your life.
Well, what's the alternative then?
Well, no, but that's not really the question. The thing is, it's unfair on these people, isn't it? Or do you think they should just buy some incense?
What I'm trying to say to you, Ian,
yes, Tony.
Where is the alternative? The lorry has to be emptied for them to do the rest of the residents' property.
In a court of law, Biffa have had their wrists slapped and told they have to do something about it.
Well, that's what Biffers have done. I mean, we should be mentioning the names, but they've had that done by putting the sprays over and stuff.
But the sprays aren't effective. The sprays aren't effective.
Yes, it is effective.
Well, obviously it isn't. It obviously isn't, Tony, if people can still smell things. That makes it ineffective.
Well, they've been putting the sprays down and they cover it up every night all before they go home. I mean, what other alternatives are there?
No, but obviously it doesn't work.
Well, what's the alternative then? You don't pick their rubbish up?
No, why would that be an alternative, Tony?
Well,
could you live with the smell of rotting fish?
Well, I live not far away from the landfill place in Milton Keynes.
Right.
Sometimes I can smell it. I don't moan. It's part of everyday life. You have to get on with it.
Tony, can I listen? We're running out of time. Can I call you Stinky Tony from now on?
No.
Smelly Tony?
No.
Pooey Tony?
No.
Tony Poo Poos?
You're a funny one.
Can we settle on that, Tony Poo Poos?
No.
Okay, thank you. He said no. Okay, Tony, we'll come with something. Thank you for being a good sport. Tony in Milton Keynes says the people aware should just put up with it. It's all part of life. What do you think? 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Things still moving well on the motorways. No delays on the A1M at the minute. Everything running well on the M1 to and from London. And cameras are not picking up any problems on the M40. It's clear run all the way in past Uxbridge towards the A40. And if you head any other way up toward Oxford, no delays at the minute that way either. All seems to be moving well through the roadworks section of the M25, which is always a good thing. Don't forget the closure in Dunstable, though. Pointers Road is still shut for the major reconstruction works between the A505 and Wheatfield Road by the Woodside Industrial Estate, and will be until mid-September. On the trains this morning, we've got problems for Greater Anglia. They are disrupted Cambridge to Liverpool Street. It's overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means that tickets are being taken on First Capital Connect services. For the moment, they are running, but with delays of up to 45 minutes and cancellations to be expected as well, and it's affecting the Stansted Express too. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's get the news and sport now with Lee Agnew.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. The headlines. A woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden was found to be in breach of health and safety regulations. Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help save £7.5 million. The force says it would be better to spend the money on more frontline officers. And a new report says more than half of people in Britain are now struggling to pay their bills. Around 9 million more adults are struggling with money compared with 7 years ago. The weather will turn cloudy this morning with sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Australia closed day one of the third Ashes test on 303 for 3 with captain Michael Clarke unbeaten on 125 runs. Our cricket correspondent Jonathan Agnew looks ahead to today's play at Old Trafford.
Australia will hope their welcome return to form with the bat continues well into today on a pitch which is already giving help to the spin bowlers. Considering the pressure he's been under, this is a fine effort by Clarke, who hasn't offered a chance in his 24th Test 100, while Smith has enjoyed some luck, looking to be plumb LBWs abroad and surviving a confident appeal for caught behind, which England reviewed. It was another poor day for the review system and its implementation. Khawaja looked very unlucky to be dispatched caught behind when nothing showed on hotspot or Snicko. DRS was supposed to eliminate controversy. In this series, it has done anything but.
The Football League season kicks off tomorrow. Watford begin their championship campaign away to Birmingham. In League One, MK Dons read Shrewsbury and Stevenage host Oldham. Wycombe kick off their League Two season at home to Morecambe. The Stevenage manager, Graham Westley, is reasonably pleased with how his squad's developed.
We're not the finished article in terms of the squad that I want to put together, but we've made progress and we've got lads who are fighting to prove themselves. Which is a step forward from what I inherited, I think.
The future of Gareth Bale is in the papers again this morning with new reports of a proposed world record transfer to Real Madrid. His former manager at Tottenham, Harry Redknapp, says he expects Bale to head to Spain.
It's looking more like it. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago, there's no way I could see him leaving Tottenham. But, you know, when you're a kid and you start playing football, you dream about playing for Real Madrid. It must be every kid's dream. Real Madrid is a special club. To run out of the Bernabeu, you know, that chance only comes once in a lifetime. I think he wants to go, if we're truthful. He hasn't said that. He doesn't want to say it. But I hear from different sources that he really wants to go now.
And finally, at the Women's British Open, American Morgan Pressel shares a one-shot lead with Camilla Lennarth of Sweden on 6 under par at St Andrews. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 7 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Lots coming up in the next 30 minutes. You looking forward to tomorrow? Are you excited by tomorrow? I know lots of you are. If you want to call in and tell me just how excited you are about tomorrow, 08459 455 555. I'm not that excited, as you can probably imagine, but try and see if you can rub off on me. See if your excitement can rub off on me. Don't leave a mark. I need to wear this shirt for the rest of the day. But tell me how excited you are about tomorrow. 08459 455 555. Now, lots of the stories we get come from you. And you can always get in touch. If you've got a story that you think, what on earth are you looking at, you two? That's disgusting. If you've got a story you think we should be doing, you can send me an email, ian.lee, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. Or you can do what Ramesh did. Ramesh gave us a call after the show yesterday. He wanted us to look into the state of traffic in Luton's Bury Park. Justin, you've been speaking to Ramesh, haven't you?
I have indeed. I'm in Bury Park right now. I was here with Ramesh yesterday. Now, he's very concerned about the traffic in this area, in particular the fact that buses can't pull in when they stop. So what happens, you've got a bus which is quite literally static in the road, and then you get the traffic build up behind. Now, Bury Park itself is on the outskirts of the town centre in Luton, and it's also where Luton Town play their home matches, so it's an incredibly busy area. This is what happened when I caught up with Ramesh. Well, Ramesh, here we are in Bury Park. It's Thursday, just gone 11 o'clock in the morning. It's half-term, already lots of traffic here. Just how bad does this area get for congestion?
Very bad. You got to be here all day to see how bad the traffic is there. 3, 4 o'clock there, 5 o'clock there, you come around there, you can't even move here.
So you're simply gridlocked in traffic that's not moving?
Traffic there. My concern is every 3, 4, 5 minutes the bus is moving there. The bus stop is there, we haven't got a proper bus stop. The traffic bus stop there, everything is standstill till the bus move. So you can work there out how many gallons of petrol public's losing and the time they're losing here.
I mean, as we look up and down Bury Park here, we can see all of the cars. They're parked on a pavement as well. Do you think there is a serious accident waiting to happen here?
It's going to happen there. So far, they're very lucky. Nothing happened yet. When traffic build up on the both sides there, we got emergency there. Ambulance coming down there, they haven't got a room to get by, yeah? So it's going to happen one day. The Luton Council is waiting for the thing to happen. They know the problem is there. Bury Park is sitting on the time bomb. It's going to happen one day.
You think somebody's going to be killed?
Too late. Somebody's going to be killed here.
OK, now you have spoken to Luton Borough Council. What have they said?
They said, yeah, we want to do it, but we haven't got the funds. I mean, whoever designed it, didn't he have a brain, you know? Look down, if you look down there, the footpath, they made them so big there. They're putting their display on the outside there. They should have a proper bus stop there. So when the bus comes there, they put into the proper bus stop there and the traffic can flow. Everything is standstill.
So you want a proper bus stop. Of course, the football season's starting up again very soon. Luton Town playing just round the corner. How angry does this situation make you feel? Because it's been like this in Bury Park for years, hasn't it?
You know, it's years there. Every time I come down there, you know, my heart cries there.
Well, Justin, Ramesh, we don't want Ramesh's heart to be crying there. He's obviously very upset. Do other people agree with Ramesh?
Yeah, they do. Interestingly enough, a bus has just pulled in here. The car's going round it. The bus has been there for a good 60 seconds or so, and the traffic behind it is starting to build up already, and it's just gone 6:30 in the morning. So you can imagine what that's like in peak time. But yes, other residents do agree. Here's what they had to say.
Very bad. Peak times very, very bad because of the bus stops. There's no room for them to park. It gets very bad at peak times.
I've just spoken to somebody who's complained to Luton Borough Council. They're saying that somebody is going to be killed here unless something is done. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it is. Especially at peak time. You have to find an alternative route, basically. But peak time, take around 15-20 minutes.
Just to literally do a journey which should take you 30 seconds?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Justin, interesting stuff. Stay there. I'll have a word with you in a second, if that's all right. First of all, I want to speak, though, to Councillor Dave Taylor, responsible for transport at Luton Borough Council. What's gone wrong, Dave?
Hi, good morning. What the problem? What's gone wrong? Nothing's gone wrong.
Well, why are buses stopping in the road?
Yeah. When the Bury Park scheme was designed, there was consultation with the businesses, and they wanted additional parking. The problem we had in the past when the bus laybys were there were cars constantly parked in them anyway. So it was decided that that's what we would do, and allow the buses to stop to pick up passengers.
So hang on, because cars were parking where they shouldn't be parking anyway. You kind of went, let's make it so they can park there. That seems a ridiculous way to run things.
Yeah, no, not really. Not really. No, the bus lay-by there was there for a purpose, to set down and pick up passengers, but there was constant abuse of it.
Well, then you should have surely the logical thing is not to say, oh, go on then, we'll let them park there, but to enforce the rules.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to enforce.
Well, really? No, parking restrictions are not difficult to enforce, Dave. You get a camera, you get a traffic warden, you get you do something about it.
That's what we're doing. I mean, the real problem at that part of Dunstable Road, Bury Park, is the illegal parking, which we are tackling now around Nadine Plaza.
So, but buses are going to constantly stop in the road, are they? That is dangerous, isn't it?
How is it dangerous for buses to stop?
How is it dangerous for buses to stop in the road?
Yeah.
Are you seriously asking that question?
I am.
OK, because cars have to pull out around it from behind a bus, from behind a blind spot, and people step out from in front or behind of the bus coming out blind. There are two obvious examples of why buses stopping in the road is dangerous, Dave.
Yeah, so buses... I've never heard that one before, buses stopping being dangerous.
Have you never? And you're responsible for transport at Luton Borough Council. Ramesh has called in. Ramesh got in touch with us. He thinks it's dangerous. It's an accident waiting to happen. Justin Dealey spoke to some random people yesterday. They think it's dangerous, an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that a bus stopping in the middle of the road where cars will try and pull round or people will try and step out, it's obvious that's dangerous, Dave.
It's not obvious because statistics have already shown us that there's been accident reduction since the scheme has been in. So it's not a problem.
It's not a problem in your opinion. It's a problem in opinion of the public. It feels that you've buckled to pressure from local businesses to allow cars to park where initially they weren't allowed to park because you said that enforcing parking restrictions is so difficult. Yeah. I don't understand that when we've just had massive figures released for councils making a fortune from enforcing parking restrictions. So that sounds like a nonsense. And now you're disputing the fact that having buses stop in the road is dangerous.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is not. Yeah, what's the accident statistics for there then? For that part of Dunstable Road?
So we have to wait for someone to get knocked down before you acknowledge it's dangerous?
No. It is not dangerous. I think it's absolute nonsense to say that the buses stopping in Dunstable Road is dangerous. It is not.
So what's it going to take, Dave, for you to wake up? Is it going to take a kiddie getting knocked down or an old lady getting nearly hit? What's it going to take?
No, it's a perfectly safe area. It's a perfectly safe area.
Taking your kid off the bus in the middle of the road is a safe thing to do, yeah? And then trying to cross that road when cars are coming out, pulling out from a blind spot. Yeah. That's safe, yeah?
The buses are stopping at the bus stop.
Wow.
Right? The raised part of the pavement for people to get on and off.
Wow.
How on earth is that dangerous?
So you don't listen... You don't listen...
To do something stupid...
You don't listen...
That is dangerous.
So you don't listen to the concerns of your residents, then?
Well, of course we do.
OK, well, what's your answer, Dave? What's your answer? If you listen to the residents, what's your answer? Let me finish. Let me put the question to you before you answer it. That might help. What's your answer to Ramesh, then, and all the other people we've spoken to who thinks it's dangerous? What would you say to them?
I say it is not dangerous. There are no accident statistics that would highlight any danger at that particular point. None at all.
OK, what we're going to do, Dave, is we're going to clip that bit, and if something does happen, we'll get you back on. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent stuff.
You want me to get you the accident statistics for Dunstable Road?
But it doesn't, Dave, the fact an accident hasn't happened already doesn't mean it's not safe.
Yeah.
No, stop saying yes. It doesn't mean it's not safe.
Yeah. But how can you tell me that it's unsafe?
Because people are concerned. The residents, the people you work for, are concerned, Dave, and you are dismissing their concerns outright.
I'm dismissing their concerns, because I've been there. We've done studies on the particular road. I've been down there many, many times. I was down there last week, and I've looked at it many, many times. I can't see a problem with that being unsafe.
OK, so just finally your message...
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a safety audit.
Excellent.
I'll get our Council of Road Safety team to do a safety audit of that particular location.
When do you think we'll have that done by?
We can do it fairly quickly.
Fantastic.
Sometime next week.
That'll be brilliant. We look forward to getting the results. Thank you very much.
That should solve the problem.
Well, it won't necessarily...
See what they say.
It won't necessarily solve the problem. So just finally, Dave, your message to Ramesh and all the others who got in touch saying it's dangerous, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I say it is not. We will do a safety audit of that particular part of the road.
Dave, thank you very much indeed. That's Dave Taylor, responsible for transport at Luton Borough Council, a man who can't see why buses stopping in the middle of the road could possibly be dangerous. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Justin, are you still there?
I'm still here. Where's the logic in this? That my radio car, I managed to pull that in here. There's parking right next to the bus stop, but the buses, they can't pull in, but my car can.
Well, it's not dangerous, Justin.
Apparently not.
It's not dangerous, and Dave Taylor, the councillor responsible for transport, can't see how buses stopping in the road could be dangerous.
Hey, listen, I can only report what I see, and whenever whenever I come down here, you know, what Ramesh is saying, what the other local residents are saying, I'm also seeing that. I'm seeing cars pulling around buses this morning. They can't see what's round the other side, even at 6:30 in the morning, when there's hardly any traffic. In my view, and this is just my view, on what I can see, it certainly is dangerous.
No, you are wrong, Justin. It is not dangerous. He's responsible for transport at Luton Borough Council. He knows this. Listen, lots I want to talk to you about today, but the first thing I want to set you... can you find out how excited people are about tomorrow?
Absolutely, of course I will.
Would you mind? Because I'm not particularly excited, but even I'm getting a kind of frisson. There's something in the air, isn't there, about tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe. I should certainly go and speak to people, find out if they're excited. Yep.
JD, lovely. Speak to you later on. 6:46. Let's go to Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi. I just wanted very quickly to comment that he is just ridiculous.
That's Justin Dealey? Oh, no, Dave Taylor, the councillor responsible for transport at Luton Borough Council, yes.
Last week, not in this area, but last week, my 87-year-old grandmother fell off a bus because it couldn't stop in a bus stop. It had to stop in the middle of the road. She then spent an evening in hospital. So to say it isn't dangerous is just... Well, it's just wrong.
But Dave Taylor says it's not dangerous, so you and your grandmother must be wrong.
Yes, the 87-year-old woman. It was her fault for falling off the bus, of course.
How is she now? Is she all right?
Yes, she's recovering well, but, obviously not keen on going on buses.
No, of course not, and that's a real shame. Well, listen, send her our best, and thank you very much for calling up and making that point.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Well, there we go. Have your say. 08459 455 555. Right, a little bit later than usual. Here's the travel with Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cheers, Ian. Things are still looking good out there on the road. Certainly no delays yet on the M1. I'm looking at the cameras as you go past Dunstable, and it's looking slower than it was, but not quite busy yet. Everything's still moving and no queues forming. The A40 in Stokenchurch, you have got roadworks. This is the Wickham Road, and there are temporary lights up as you come through Stokenchurch. Danstead Way in Bradwell, that's been closed off for bridge maintenance work between Grafton Street at the Ruxley Roundabout and Great Monk Street, and will be for another couple of weeks. On the trains, we have disruption for Greater Anglia, Cambridge to Liverpool Street, Hertford East to Liverpool Street, and Cambridge through to Stratford. It's because of overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means 45-minute delays and cancellations to be expected, and it's affecting the Stansted Express as well. Your tickets will be taken, though, on cross-country services, East Midlands trains and First Capital Connect, if any of those will help you with your journey this morning. Tubes to and from London are running well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 6:48, Friday the 2nd of August. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Bedfordshire Police says it could close police stations to afford more frontline officers. Coming up, we'll be hearing our introducing track for this week, and topless in town, men and women. Is it ever acceptable? Let's get the weather now. Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Well, yesterday we got temperatures widely into the low 30s actually in Celsius, 32 degrees in Bedford, that's 90 in Fahrenheit, and really those temperatures replicated right across the three counties as well. Today it's still going to be warm, but without that intense heat of yesterday, so we're probably looking at temperatures into the mid-20s. Now there is going to be some wet weather around as well. We're talking sunshine and showers. The showers springing up, popping up just about everywhere actually through the course of the day, through the morning and into the afternoon. Although it's a fairly sunny start, we do have some low cloud just pushing in from the west. It should turn dry and brighter for a time through the afternoon, but then I think we're going to see more showers, and these through the afternoon could be really quite heavy as well, possibly even a rumble or so of thunder and a flash or two of lightning, you never know. Temperatures, as I said, into the mid-20s, still feeling quite warm in the sunny spells. It is going to be quite blustery though with the southwesterly wind, and then as we head into this evening it's going to feel an awful lot fresher, so temperatures between 14 and perhaps as high as 16 or 17 degrees, but cooler than it was last night, and then slightly cooler over the weekend as well. Temperatures low to mid-20s at best. There will be some good spells of sunshine about, particularly on Sunday, but also some showers as well, Ian. That's the forecast.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Roberto Perrone, debating the local issues.
Bill Rowe is a guardian angel. He needs volunteers for his Luton chapter.
This is not being a policeman. You can't do a policeman's job. It is giving safe passage to more vulnerable people.
Roberto Perrone.
A red kite has been rescued from a tree in Hertfordshire. There was a lost parrot in the three counties, and I was ready to mobilise our best people. Forget snakes on a plane. This is snakes in Hertfordshire. Potentially 27 of them.
Roberto Perrone.
And I love the animal stories. I do the animal stories.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
One time I trusted a stranger 'cause I heard his sweet song, and it was gently enticing me, though there was something wrong. But when I turned, he was gone, blinding me. His song remains reminding me he's a bandit and a heartbreaker. Ah, but Jesus was a cross maker. Sweet silver angels over the sea, please come down flying for me. He wages war with the devil, a pistol by his side, and though he chases him out windows and won't give him a place to hide, he keeps his door open wide. Fighting him, he lights a lamp. Inviting him, he's a bandit and a heartbreaker. Oh, but Jesus was a cross maker. Sweet silver angels over the sea, please come down flying low. I heard the thunder come rumbling, the night never looked so dim. I see the junction get nearer, and danger is in the wind beneath the roads, looking grim. Hide me, I flee, desire divide me. He's a bandit and a heartbreaker. Oh, Jesus was a cross maker. Yeah, Jesus was a cross maker. Sweet silver angels over the sea, please come down flying low for me. One time I trusted a stranger 'cause I heard his sweet song, and it was gently enticing me, though there was something wrong. When I turned, he was gone, blinding me. His song remains reminding me he's a bandit and a heartbreaker. Oh, but Jesus was a cross maker. Oh, Jesus was a cross maker.
What a song! It's from the second Mama Cass solo album, Cass Elliott's, that sold all of 3 copies when it came out. I don't know, what is it, 1970? I'm going to hazard a guess, 72. It's a corker. You can buy that. A triple album, double CD. It's like £9 now. Cass Elliott, The Road Is No Place for a Lady, and the excellently titled Don't Call Me Mama Anymore. The other 2 albums, they're kind of good, but the first one on it, Cass Elliott, is worth the entrance fee alone. Is it ever acceptable to be topless in town? Because it was hot yesterday. Loads of ladies in London were sunbathing in, well, topless, but in their pants as well. I say topless. Their bra strap was undone. They're lying down. A lot of side boobage. Not appropriate, I don't think. On Facebook, Jackie Edwards, no, it's not acceptable. Paul says, my Korean wife says no. I grew up with it and think, meh. Iris says, no, not in public parks. Stick to designated beaches or the back garden. Jackie says, no. Do we really need a display of the flesh when out and about? Steve says, if you've got the body for it, sure. In public parks, no. I think to cause less problems to the public in general. By that, I include the topless person. And Andy says, we go on a beach topless, so why not in a park? I see no difference at all. No one is ever harmed by it. I'm harmed by it if it's some flabby bloke with boobs bigger than, a page 3 model. I'm not keen on that. I think it's horribly inappropriate. What do you think? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Now, BBC Introducing is a show on Three Counties Radio supporting the unsigned and upcoming musicians from Beds, Herts and Bucks. If you've got a track that you want to upload, go to bbc.co.uk/introducing. This week it's the turn of James Bay, a 22-year-old singer-songwriter living, writing and recording in Hitchin. This is his song called Move Together. 4 minutes 40. My suggestion to young songwriters, don't go above 3 minutes. Self-indulgent otherwise.
Oh, now, end of the night, and it's cold out. Turn on your side, and I know you are up into ours, but we didn't get tonight, don't have tomorrow, so don't ruin now. Come closer. If we don't move together, just come closer. Are we gonna breathe? And how we gonna be together? Just keeping the peace between the sheets, and I creep in, and everything's loud, and I'm sorry I've woken you now. And when are you the tiniest thing? We didn't get tonight, we don't have tomorrow, so I'm done whispering.
Well, that's James Bay, 22-year-old singer-songwriter from Hitchin. That's his song called Move Together. Coming up in the next hour, topless in town, is it ever acceptable? Oh, and how excited are you about tomorrow? Give us a call. What are you doing to celebrate? 08459 455 555. Right now, though, let's get the travel news. Here's Adam Glynn.
Travel news for Beds, Herts and Bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still notably quiet out there. No problems on the major routes into London. No delays at the minute as you come along the M1 or the A1 or indeed the A10 as you come through Cheshunt. Everything running well on the M25, even through the roadworks section. Clockwise and anti-clockwise are moving nicely, taking a look at the cameras right now. All looking pretty good on the M40 as you make your way past High Wycombe. No delays around the Handy Cross roundabout. And everything looking quite good on the M1. The M1's one of the few routes at the minute that is at least starting to look a little busy as people do make their way out and about this morning, but it's still looking okay in terms of levels of traffic. There are no queues building just yet. Speed sensors not picking up any delays through Dunstable. The A5 is moving well. We have got train problems. Greater Anglia disrupted. Cambridge to Liverpool Street, Hertford East to Liverpool Street and Cambridge to Stratford because of overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means delays of up to 45 minutes and lots of cancellations as well. Tickets taken though on cross-country East Midlands trains and First Capital Connect services. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Topless in town. I mean, really, it's a pervert's paradise, isn't it? Not acceptable at all.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: Luton woman to get compensation after injury at a nursery. Police stations could close in Bedfordshire. And people in Ware say they can't live with the smell of landfill any longer.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The solicitor for a woman from Luton who was injured at a nursery in Hertfordshire says it could be a few years before she'll receive compensation. Bright Horizons Family Solutions, who run Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden, were found to be in breach of health and safety regulations. Barry Caffrey reports.
45-year-old Aileen Cooper suffered her injury in June 2009 when she leaned over the side of a faulty cot to lower a baby into it. Mrs. Cooper suffered a disc prolapse in her back, protruding into her spinal cord, which caused her to suffer from a rare condition known as cauda equina syndrome. Compensation for this is typically in excess of £1 million, though it may be a few years from now before an amount is agreed on.
Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help bridge a £7.5 million funding gap. It's asking the public how often they visit a station. Political reporter Paul Scoynes has more.
The force says it costs £3 million a year to keep the stations open. However, it says many are underused and in need of refurbishment. It would be better, Beds Police says, to spend the money on more PCSOs or frontline officers. The Police Commissioner for Bedfordshire is consulting with residents about how they use police stations, but says no decisions about the future of stations in the county have already been taken.
A new report says around 9 million more adults are now struggling with money compared with 7 years ago. The Money Advice Service found that more than half of people are having difficulty keeping up with bills. These people admitted they're struggling with the money.
We've just been paid today, and that's all gone out on bills. So we've got about £10 to live on for until next week now. I've got 2 kids, so it's quite hard.
I find the money runs out in 2-3 days. But can I borrow this, can I borrow that? And by the next time you get your money, you're giving it back to the other people that you've lent it on.
People in Ware say they've been let down by Biffa Waste Services and the Environment Agency after living with the smell of rotting waste for 9 years. Last year they won their long-running court battle against the Westmill landfill site, but they're still living with the smell. Roger Hobbs lives on the nearby Vicarage estate.
You have to be careful when you invite people round in case this smell occurs. And I can see it envisages it's going to go on for another couple of years yet. It ruins your life, really.
In sport, Australia will resume on 303 for 3 on the second day of the third Ashes test at Old Trafford. Captain Michael Clarke finished on 125 not out, and Stephen Smith is unbeaten on 70. The weather will turn cloudy this morning with sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. There's a vague kind of end-of-term feeling in the air. Not because it's the end of term, it's just Friday and we're old and grumpy and miserable and looking forward to the weekend. I'm working. Yeah. I say work. Talking about Big Brother's hardly work, is it? Some of you may consider that. Anyway, lots coming up between now and 8 o'clock, including all of these things. Compensation. One woman is in line for £1 million after injuring her back lifting a baby. And a set of neighbours want compensation for living with a horrible, stinky smell. Justin Dealey's getting you all excited about tomorrow. And going topless in town, is it ever acceptable? I'll tell you the answer, no. Men and women, put your tops on. I was in London yesterday, it was flipping hot in London. Oh, it was horrible. Loads of fellas just stood there topless with their big gold chains and their big hairy nipples. Oh, it was so unpleasant. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text 81333. Start your text 3CR. And you can give us a call 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
A nursery nurse is expected to receive at least £1 million in compensation after damaging her back lifting a baby into his cot. 45-year-old Aileen Cooper damaged her spine in the course of her work at the Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden. The High Court found that the nursery failed to follow its own health and safety risk assessments. Well, we did invite Ms Cooper to come on the programme this morning, but she didn't want to be interviewed. Instead, we have on the line Ben Posford, the solicitor who represented her. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ian.
Ben, you've been representing Aileen Cooper. First of all, can you explain the background to this case to me?
Yes. She started work at the nursery at the beginning of 2008, having brought up her own 3 children. And she told them when she started work that she had a very bad back, that she was undergoing physio and she had sciatica and so on and so forth. And then about a year and a half later, she went to put a 6-month-old into a cot. And unfortunately, the cot sides were broken. It's one of those cots that have the sides that drop down.
Yes, I know them very well.
And her employer had sensibly decided that if you have drop-down sides, you can then train people to bend their knees and place babies in the cot safely. Because the sides were broken, they had to be tied up. So she had to lean over the side and put the baby into the cot. And just as she was about to put the baby onto the mattress, her back went. And medical experts at the trial said that this was actually a disc prolapse. That happens to everybody all the time. But what then happened is she had to sit on a chair and twist and put her arm over the top of the cot in order to soothe the baby. And as she did that, that squeezed the disc so that the inside actually popped out into her spinal canal and damaged her spinal cord.
She's also developed this rare condition, cauda equina syndrome.
Cauda equina syndrome.
What is that?
It's incredibly rare, but it's awfully painful. What happens is essentially it's the compression of the nerves that leave the bottom of the spinal cord. So we all know our spinal cord goes from our brain down to about the middle of our lower back. And then what happens is the cord turns into wispy nerves. And those nerves go into the legs and into the bladder and into the bowels. Those nerves look a little bit like a horse's tail. So cauda equina is Latin for horse's tail.
Ah, I see. Now, this went to the High Court. Is that unusual for a claim like this to go that far?
It's not unusual for it to go into the High Court. It is unusual for it to go all the way to trial, because really nowadays only about, 2%, I'm guessing, but only about 2% of cases go all the way to trial, because usually the parties are able to agree a settlement or something like that.
What happens now? Do we know what kind of figure of compensation you're looking at?
We don't at this stage. She will have to go back to court in another year or 2 years or so if a compensation figure cannot be agreed, in order to determine exactly how much she gets. Compensation in a case like this isn't a lump sum just to go and do what you want with. Typically, it involves an annual payment for life, and that payment will each year pay for care, therapy, support, so on and so forth. The first thing she'll need to do is move from her 2-storey house into a bungalow, because she'll need single-storey accommodation. It's very difficult for her to walk anywhere. And then from there, you then start to develop the right sort of care package, the right sort of therapy regime that she will need. It's only once we know what works for her that we're then able to work out how much compensation she should receive.
It could be more than £1 million, is that right?
It could be, yes.
That does sound a huge amount of money. How is her life affected by this condition?
It affects absolutely everything, because the biggest problem with cauda equina syndrome is that it causes terrible pain. It's akin to permanent sciatica or permanent tooth pain, flashing up and down your legs. It's incredibly painful. Added to which you suffer with double incontinence, and your mobility is so badly affected that you can probably walk to the neighbour's house with a pair of crutches, but no more. And so if you imagine how that's going to affect everything that you need to do in your life, She can't get in and out of a bath without assistance. She can't actually lie on her back because of the pain from the condition. So it affects her in every way imaginable.
There might be some people listening, Ben, who would say, listen, if she knew that she had an ongoing back condition anyway, she should have accepted, known her limits and accepted the part of the responsibility by overstretching herself, literally and metaphorically.
Yes, I can see why it would look that way. Her employer is not a bad employer, actually. They had anticipated this, so they specifically asked about whether or not people had bad backs or not, and she was not put on the most strenuous duties. I think the problem for the employer was the fact that the cot sides were broken. If she'd been able to lower the cot sides, then this wouldn't have happened at all, because she would have used good lifting posture in order to do this.
But couldn't she... I'm just playing devil's advocate, Ben. Obviously, this has been sorted out in the High Court, so in many ways my opinion is irrelevant. But shouldn't she have recognised her limits and said, look, do you know what, I can't do this. You know I've got a bad back. Can someone else put this baby into the crib?
I think that's what we call a counsel of perfection. In theory, we should all do that, shouldn't we? In theory, we all have bad backs to varying degrees, and there's always occasions when somebody says, could you just give me a hand with this? And we know that really we should just say no, because we know that the following day we're going to have a bit of pain or what have you. But you don't. And you especially don't in a nursery where everyone gets on really well and everybody are friends, and you don't want to be the one to constantly say, well, no, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that.
Ben, for people who are listening who may have been injured at work and don't quite know what to do and what they're entitled to, what are their options? The first thing to do, of course, is to find a proper solicitor who knows what they're doing. And the best way to do that is to look on various not-for-profit organisation websites, things like either the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers or the Spinal Injuries Association if you have a spinal cord injury, or the Headway website if you have a brain injury, or go to the Brain Injury Group or something like that. The important thing is to find a solicitor who understands the condition that you've suffered, and then speak to them direct. It's best not to try and call people who advertise on television and these awful adverts and what have you. Why is it best to avoid those?
Generally speaking, they're not law firms; they're claims management companies.
Right.
A number of years ago, the solicitors were suddenly allowed to advertise. But of course, solicitors' firms are mostly small businesses, so they couldn't actually afford to advertise. So the law of unintended consequences meant that a load of other companies developed that had money behind them that could advertise day in, day out, and they would sell on details, and so on and so forth. The government have recently acted to reduce the amount of claims management companies that can actually operate since the 1st of April.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. Ben Posford, the solicitor representing Iain Cooper. He's a specialist spine cord solicitor at Osborne's Solicitors in London. After 8, we'll be hearing from the Association of British Insurers.
So he's raw when they kind of just...
I don't hear that.
Text 81333.
Start your message with 3CR.
Texts will be charged at the standard network rate.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Fat fingers, me that is, me and my fat fingers, just flailing randomly at a computer keyboard, hitting anything that's within sight. 08459 455 555. So yesterday was hot, wasn't it hot? It was. I was filling up with petrol at 5:30 on the North Circular. One of my favourite things. And as I walked from the petrol station back to my car, it felt like I'd just stopped. You know when you step off an aeroplane in a really hot country and that heat hits you? You go to Greece or some bits of Spain, and you just step off the aeroplane down the steps because they can't afford the little plane passenger tunnels. And that heat just hits you. It was like that walking to my car. Anyway, some people are celebrating by taking off their tops in parks. It's disgusting. Daily Telegraph, page 5. Women throw off inhibitions on hottest day. The weather was akin to that on a Mediterranean beach. And for many sightseers in London yesterday, some bathers in the city parks would have reminded them of visits to, say, the French Riviera. So, in Hyde Park, there's a lady in a thong with her top off. There's two ladies with thong. I mean, look at the state of that. Disgusting. By St Paul's Cathedral, there's a woman who looks like Mel B, or C. B or C, one of the Mels. C or B, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Anyway, she's topless. I think it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Men and women. It's disgusting. As I was wandering around London yesterday, feeling sorry for myself, so many topless blokes in shorts with their big man boobs wobbling around. I don't want to know if you've got a pierced nipple. It's disgusting. Is there ever any excuse for going topless, male or female, in town? No, there isn't. If you do it, you are some kind of deviant. It's awful. Now, some of you have done it. Some of you have done it yesterday. Could you give me a call and be brave enough to tell me why you did it, why you think it's acceptable? 08459 455 555. 7:15, travel news now. Here's Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Big problems on the trains if you're planning on making a journey from Bishop Stortford or Hertford East this morning, because there are no trains. Greater Anglia have got overhead line problems at Cheshunt and are going to be suspended or at least disrupted until about 3:30 this afternoon. This means at present there are no trains Bishop Stortford or Hertford East down towards Liverpool Street. Your tickets will be taken on other train providers, and once you get toward London they'll be taken on London buses and on the Underground as well. Looking at the roads, things are actually moving quite well. No delays at present as you go along the M1. M25 slowing up a little as you come into the roadworks, junction 25 Enfield, and it's looking a wee bit busy from Maple Cross to the M40 junction 17 to 16 as well, but nothing massive. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. 7:16, it's Friday the 2nd of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Bedfordshire Police says it could close down police stations to afford its frontline officers. And people in Ware say nothing's been done to stop the terrible smell of the Westmill landfill site despite winning a court battle against it. Weather turned cloudy this morning, sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Coming up, talking more about that dreadful smell in Ware. And how excited are you by tomorrow? Looking forward to it? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Every weekday from 12, Nick Coffer brings you
great guests.
Julian Clary, welcome to BBC Three Counties Radio. Legendary Genesis guitarist Steve Hackett, Supertramp frontman Roger Hodgson, Carol Decker of Tapao fame joins me now.
Great conversations.
China in Your Hand is about the fragility of your dreams and that you should be careful what you wish for.
Something very addictive about making people laugh is standing on stage and every few seconds getting that hit of a laugh.
Nick Coffer.
Weekdays from 12.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
No one collects thimbles anymore, do they? Although they were giving away a thimble, of course, this week in the Daily Mail, or the Express, I don't know, to celebrate the birth of a baby. Let's give it a thimble, which it could be a baby hat if it was a tiny baby. No one collects thimbles. You used to see that, didn't you? You saying, was it your gran?
My mother-in-law.
Well, she had like one of those boxes.
She had like a frame, like a tiny bookshelf.
Yeah.
Bookcase on the wall.
With thimbles.
Loads of thimbles in.
One of my favourite comedy sketches of all time is from an American show called Mr. Show, and it won't sound funny when I describe it, but it's brilliant. It goes on for 10 minutes long, and it's this guy who comes home after climbing Everest, and there's this wall of thimbles. There's like hundreds of thimbles on there, and as he's telling the story of how he climbs Everest, he falls over and he knocks all the thimbles over. Then it cuts to them just putting the last thimble back on. But he just keeps knocking it over for 10 minutes as he recounts the story of him knocking the thimble. It's wonderful. I'm going to find it on YouTube and send it to you. If you've got a thimble collection, do give us a call and tell us why. Why would you do that? I imagine that there are one or two people listening. No one even uses thimbles anymore. For sewing, isn't it? Protect your fingers when you're sewing. The China ones, they're not practical in the slightest, are they? If you've got a thimble collection, do give us a call. 08459 455 555. I want to peek into your brain. We've lived with the smell of rotting flesh and waste for nearly 9 years. Not me, not the people at BBC Three Counties Radio. It's the people living on the Vicarage estate in Ware. Biffa Waste Services, who run the West Mill site in Hertfordshire, lost a High Court battle last June after the company ignored local complaints about the smells that came from their landfill site. However, since the court case, residents say they have done nothing to compensate them, and the smell is still there. We sent stinky Sophie Solaria to meet resident Roger Hobbs, one of the people affected.
Really and truly, it was terrible when it first happened. It's still there, and nothing seems to be done about it.
When it comes into your garden or where outside your house, what does it smell like?
Well, complete and utter dustbin rubbish. That's what it smells like. Always has been the same. It's just putting your head in the dustbin. And it's not very nice when the summer months are here. You know, you do suffer really poorly with it.
And it's not just the smell, is it?
No, it's not only the smell. I mean, we suffer with brown dust coming across. Sometimes it's really, really bad. I go out there, wipe my patio table, and it is literally filthy dirty through the dust coming from the landfill site.
Last year you won quite a significant court battle against Biffa.
Yeah.
Things haven't changed much, have they, since you won?
No, they haven't changed. I mean, they had a chance to settle on the day, but they didn't. They kept putting it back and back and back, and it's still going on now, and I can see it envisages it's going to go on for another couple of years yet.
It's been a long, long time. How does that make you feel, waiting constantly for an end?
Very, very sad, for not only for myself, but for the residents on where we live, on the Vicarage estate. You have to be careful when you invite people round, in case this smell occurs, which isn't very nice. It ruins your life, really. All you can do is ring the Environment Agency. Hopefully they're going to help you, which I find I'm very reluctant now that they don't help too much when you complain. Even phoning the site to try and talk to them to say, what are you doing over that site? Why can't you try and calm the smell down? But I know from years ago that they used to have to cover the site with 300 mil of soil. It's supposed to be every day to stem the smell, but I can't see that happens.
You're at your wit's end.
Had enough. But I mean, hopefully it'll get settled 2014, but I can't see it happening.
Well, that was Sophie Solaria speaking to resident Roger Hobbs. With us now is another local resident and East Herts District Councillor, Alan Warman. Morning, Alan.
Good morning.
How long have you lived in the Vicarage estate?
Myself and my wife have lived here for 28 years.
And how long ago was the landfill site built?
It was I think it was on notification around about 1974-75.
Right.
Was the proposed plan from memory.
How bad is the smell?
The smell can be quite horrendous. I mean, I've spoken to residents locally, and there was a case, and reported at the court case, where one lady was in the garden and she was overcome by so much smell, it made her physically sick. In fact, she was sick in the garden.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
And you can you smell it in your house, Alan?
Yes, in the house. We just been hearing what Roger Hobbs has been saying. You have to keep the door shut, the window shut.
And in this kind of weather, does it get worse in the heat, Alan?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it varies day to day, and of course on the weather and many other contributing factors with it.
Now, you and the residents won your legal battle at the High Court last year, so it's not just you being a bunch of miserable NIMBYs. You've won in a court of law. It's been proven that Biffa haven't done enough. Did you think that was the end of it then?
I thought once it's gone to appeal, and we'd won that appeal last year at the Royal Courts of Justice, I honestly thought that would be the turning point, and Biffa would finally accept the fact that they have done wrong. And of course, the money issue was never the issue in the first place, but as that our solicitors then went for compensation. And as Roger Hobbs has said, there was an offer put on the table which was an insult.
What are you allowed to say what the offer was?
Yes, it was 100,000.
Split up between how many people?
Oh, quite a few. I can't exactly remember the number.
Right.
But it's more than 10, put it that way.
Right, OK, so it would have been... What exactly would the compensation achieve, Alan?
I think it would bring closure to a case that's gone on for nearly 8 years now. And at that Court of Appeal, with the three judges, one of the judges asked our barrister, just how much money are we talking about? And our barrister, whose name I can't remember, said, my lord, it's £6,000. So the judge turned around and said, do you mean to say we've had all this court case for such a small amount of money they could have settled outside of court?
Have you gone back to Biffa and complained?
We only deal with Biffa we only deal with Biffa through our solicitors, Hugh James.
Right. Listen, I have to be vaguely impartial in these things, and I would like to give Biffa the course to come on and put their case forward.
Yes, of course.
They've not come on.
They've not.
They've not. We've been speaking to them. My team have been speaking to them a lot, and we were told by Biffa yesterday that they would provide us a spokesperson for today.
Yes.
They haven't bothered.
No, unfortunately, this is the way they operate. They've not really been fair with us all along. They treat us with the utmost contempt.
They've sent us a very long statement, which I'm not going to read, Alan, because I think the fact that they said they would give us a spokesperson and then didn't, I think that's disrespectful to me, but more importantly, it's disrespectful to you and all the other people that are suffering. And I think for a company as huge as Biffa, I just think that's very, very rude.
Yes, I was unaware of it, but we're in the same line with Biffa, that Channel 4 programme on Tuesday went out, and they really got slated by the television programme as well on the way they operate. I've unfortunately missed it because I was unaware it was on. But no, this is the way they operate. They're full of giving money away to good causes, and I'm all for that. But when it comes down to public relations, they miss out drastically.
Alan, thank you very much. Alan Warman, local resident and East Herts District Councillor. Biffa, if you're listening, I know you will hear this at some point. Perhaps my team have got this wrong. Perhaps there's been a mistake our end. And if you want to come on and redress the balance, 08459 455 555. You can also send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. I'm joined now by Professor Peter Hepp, studied smells and how they can affect people. Peter, smell of rotting flesh and waste over a 10-year period, that's got to be pretty damaging to residents, isn't it?
Yes, good morning. Absolutely. I mean, it'll have an effect on a huge number of levels from the individual. They will probably be experiencing sleep disturbances, depression, anxiety. We also associate events with unpleasant odours. So people who go into the area and smell the unpleasant odour will have a negative impression of the area, the people within it. So it has a long-term, quite serious effect. We heard there an incident of a woman being physically sick. The smell was so overpowering one day. But over an extended period, could it affect behaviour? Oh, absolutely. Studies have shown that when people are exposed over long term to these sort of unpleasant odours, it increases their tension, it makes them generally more angry, they're more fatigued, they suffer from more confusion, they have much more difficulty performing difficult tasks compared to simple tasks. So it has a wide-ranging effect on just how people exist in the environment. Can it affect their sense of smell? Does your sense of smell kind of shut down a bit? Potentially in the long term, but it probably doesn't. And this is one of the problems, that our sense of smell is there to warn us. And unpleasant smells warn us about dangerous situations. And so when you experience an unpleasant smell, the natural reaction is to try and escape from it. And of course, that's why it's there. The smell warns us from these events. But of course, if you live in an area where it's permanent, you're experiencing, if you like, the urge to escape continually, but you can't. So that increases the level of frustration. I would imagine clinical depression could possibly be a problem as well. Yep, people become depressed. The major effects on mood generally, that if you can't escape the odours, then your mood deteriorates and to clinical levels of depression and anxiety. Professor Peter Hepp, thank you very much, an expert in the world of smells. Again, Biffa, I do think you've been a little bit rude and a bit disrespectful to me. I'm not bothered by that, broad shoulders, but to the people that live in that area. This was your chance to come on and set the record straight.
We have been in contact with Biffa, who were described as having a, quote, bullying attitude, unquote, towards the Hertfordshire residents. That was by the High Court judge last year, said that. Biffa did tell us they would provide a spokesperson today to give us some responses. They failed to do so. They've sent us a statement, which I'm not going to read. I don't think we owe it to them to read. If they want to come on, 08459 455 555, or you can send me an email and we can sort something out for next week. iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. Right, 7:29, let's get the travel with Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Disruption for Greater Anglia this morning on the rails. They're affected from Liverpool Street up to Cambridge and Hertford East. There's overhead wire problems at Cheshunt, and it means that right now trains from Bishop Stortford and from Hertford East to and from Liverpool Street are completely suspended. Your tickets will be taken though on other train providers, and once you get as far as London, on buses and on the Underground. The disruption likely to be ongoing until midway through this afternoon. On the roads, things are looking good. No real delays as far as I can see on the cameras. It's starting to slow up on the M25 though, anti-clockwise. Two distinct patches. First off, Waltham Abbey to Enfield going into the roadworks where you have the 50 mile an hour restriction, and also from Maple Cross to the M40 junction 17 to 16 and onwards down toward the M4. Things though looking fine on all the other main routes. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 7:30, time for the latest news and sport now with Lee Agnew.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: a woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden was found to have breached health and safety regulations. Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help save £7.5 million. The force says it would be better to spend the money on more frontline officers. And a new report says more than half of people in Britain are now struggling to pay their bills. Around 9 million more adults have money problems compared with 7 years ago. The weather will turn cloudy this morning with sunny spells this afternoon but showers throughout the day. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Australia will resume on 303 for 3 on day 2 of the third Ashes test at Old Trafford. Captain Michael Clarke led from the front, making 125 not out. Opener Chris Rogers says Clarke's innings has had a big impact on the rest of the team.
Massive. I can't understate it enough. He's such a key person in our batting side that if he scores runs, it makes it easier on everyone else around him. So, we need him scoring runs, as a lot of the other guys are probably still learning their game in many respects, so for him to score runs and get big runs is massive for us.
The Football League season kicks off tomorrow. Watford begin their championship campaign away to Birmingham. In League One, the MK Dons are at Shrewsbury and Stevenage host Oldham, while Wickham kick off their League Two season at home to Morecambe. The Stevenage manager, Graham Wesley, is reasonably pleased with how his squad's developed.
We're not the finished article in terms of the squad that I want to put together, but we've made progress. And we've got lads who are fighting to prove themselves, which is a step forward from what I inherited, I think.
The future of Gareth Bale is back in the papers again this morning with new reports of a world record transfer to Real Madrid. His former manager, Harry Redknapp, says he expects Bale to head to Spain.
It's looking more like it. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago, there's no way I could see him leaving Tottenham. But, when you're a kid and you start playing football, you dream about playing for Real Madrid. It must be every kid's dream. Real Madrid is a special club. To run out of the Bernabeu, that chance only comes once in a lifetime. I think he wants to go, if we're truthful. He hasn't said that. He doesn't want to say it. But I hear from different sources that he really wants to go now.
Finally, at the Women's British Open, American Morgan Pressel shares a one-shot lead with Camilla Lenneth of Sweden on 6 under par at St Andrews. That's BBC Three Counties News and Sport. More at 8 o'clock.
Email
3cr@bbc.co.uk.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wowzers. We laughingly tossed out thimble collections as a little something, asking would anybody have a thimble collection. I expected that maybe one of our senior listeners might have a dozen, 15, something like that. Luann Hall Redman has posted on the Facebook page a picture that Catherine Boyle seems unable to see. Why can't you find it? I'm looking at it now. You can talk to me.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, come and have a look. Luann Hall Redman has posted my 8-year-old's thimble collection. This is the collection of her 8-year-old child, not an 8-year-old collection. Look at that. There's what?
Wow.
100 thimbles in there?
You can't, well...
That is bonkers. No disrespect to the 8-year-old, Luann. I'm not being rude, but flippin' it. She, maybe, you know, has she seen a psychologist recently? I'm teasing. It's good that kids collect things, but that's...
Good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun. Probably about 80 in there, I'd say. That's quite...
Needs a dust.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Luann. If you go to the Facebook page, you can have a look at that. Dennis in Dunstable's on the line. Hi, hello, Dennis.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning to you, Dennis.
How are you?
Thimbles?
No. I couldn't get my fingers in them anyway. No. Point in collecting rubbish.
No, exactly. Yes. You've called in, Dennis. What about?
Well, this business with the distinctly bad smell at this place.
Where?
Wherever they're talking about this landfill site.
Where?
Wherever it is.
Where?
Is it in where? Oh dear, I wasn't aware of that.
Right. Where?
Are we going to go on forever like this?
We can do.
No. The reason I asked you've not said anything about the fact that they were generating hordes of vermin of all sorts. Flies, rats, and certainly you'll find there'll be clouds of... gulls going there. You always see this. So what are they doing about the vermin situation? This hot weather must be producing blue bottles the size of aeroplanes. Are you there?
Remind me of what the squeaking noise is in your life.
I've just oiled a chair. It's all right.
You've not oiled it very well.
No, I know. It's one of these things. My wife thinks that we've got rats or something. It squeaks away.
Is that the cat?
Yes, it's a cat.
Can you kick it and get it out of the room? It's annoying me.
Right, I will do. I'll sit very still.
Are you excited about tomorrow, Dennis?
Well, why? What's coming on tomorrow? It's Saturday, that's all I know.
Yeah, are you excited?
Not particularly. But at my age, Ian...
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, it's a bonus, so I've got to be excited.
Justin, you're excited, aren't you?
Relatively. I mean, to be completely honest with you, Ian, the main excitement for me is going to be next Saturday, so
right,
not tomorrow, but next Saturday.
Dennis isn't that excited.
Don't see why. Don't see why not.
Well, if you tell me what I've got to be excited about, I might get excited.
Well, Justin, you've been asking people if they're excited, haven't you?
Yes, I've been out and about this morning on the streets of Beds, Herts and Bucks asking people that very question. Are they excited? And this is what happened.
What, tomorrow's Saturday? No, not really.
No? All right, OK. What do you think about Watford's chances at Birmingham, then?
It'd be interesting.
How excited are you about tomorrow? You must be looking forward to it.
Can't wait for tomorrow. Be nice. What's happening tomorrow?
Hey, Martin, good morning. How are you today, sir?
OK.
Fantastic. You must be very excited about tomorrow. You must be building up right now as we speak.
What, to come to work?
Start the football season.
No, coming to work.
You're not excited about the football season?
No.
Not in the slightest?
Premiership don't start tomorrow, do it?
Fair enough. Just thought I'd ask. Take care. Morning, sir. You're looking very snazzy. Where are you off to today, then?
The gym.
Wow, you're looking pretty cool for the gym, aren't you?
Not really. I go like this every morning.
OK, now let me ask you this question. You must be looking forward to tomorrow. You look like a happy guy. You look like you're very excited. You must be looking forward to tomorrow.
What's tomorrow? What for? You mean just another day to me? Yeah, really, yeah.
It's the start of the football season.
Oh, only the rubbish, yeah. I'm a Premier man myself.
So you don't care about tomorrow at all?
Not really, no.
It's a shame. Well, listen, enjoy the gym. What are you planning to do at the gym?
Swim, workout, whatever.
I bet the ladies can't keep their hands off you, can they?
You're joking, aren't you? Cheers, mate.
Madam, you must be looking forward to tomorrow, surely?
Sorry, I have no time.
Clearly not, then.
Oh, Justin, it's the start of the football season, Dennis.
Oh, God, 22 young men chasing a ball of wind around a field. How exciting.
Come on, the Reds, come on, the Blues, it's a football match, it's a football match. He scores a goal, he saves a goal, it's a football match, it's a football match. Goalkeeper in back, attacker up in front, the referee's in black, some think he is a character. Come on, the Reds, come on, the Blues, it's a football match.
That's a pretty good song. Well,
that's my own football chant I wrote, Justin.
That could be a hit record.
I wrote a football chant.
Wow, amazing.
So, Dennis, you're not excited about that. Do you get excited, Dennis, when you see topless people wandering around town?
No, especially when there's they lean over in, the supermarket and sweat's dripping off them.
Oh, that is disgusting, isn't it? When you got your frozen turkeys in the freezer, they open it up. Do you still get those freezers where you lean over anymore? The lift up the top ones, do you?
I still have them. Yeah.
And their sweat, you can see it freeze as it drops down onto the chicken nuggets.
It's even better when the lid falls and it catches their nipples in there on the way down. Snack, bang, crash.
Ever had your nipples caught in a freezer top, Justin?
No, but I might try it this weekend. Sounds like a real buzz.
Justin, you would never go topless in town, would you?
No, never.
On the beach?
On the beach, obviously. Of course you're going to do that on the beach. But you know what? It's so frustrating because even if you have got an amazing body and you go to the gym quite a bit, why on earth do you feel the need to be walking through a town centre topless? You look like an idiot.
But I'm not even a massive fan of going topless on the beach, but I can kind of abide by that. But there should be a rule. If you are 50 yards or more away from the sand, you put a top on.
Seriously, arrest these people. Lock them up.
You've been speaking to people about this. I'm hoping most people agree with me.
Yeah, they do, actually. Here's the views of one man this morning. I've been asking him, is it ever acceptable for women to be topless in parks? We've seen those pictures in the newspapers today. And, of course, men in town centres. Here's what he had to say.
No, in my eyes, it's not, no. Not with his kids and that running around and things like that.
So, if you saw a man walking through this town centre and he had his top off, would that make you feel a bit sick?
Well, it would, actually, yeah. I think if you're in the town centre and out with the kids that are around, you should be covered up.
What about women in parks, then? Because we've seen the pictures in the papers today. Women in parks yesterday, a hot day, completely topless.
No, not in a public place or anything like that, no. I don't agree with that at all.
Would you ever step in and say, what do you think you're doing?
Well, I would actually stop somebody if I saw them topless, yeah, definitely.
So you'd actually go up to a man and say, can you put your top on?
Well, of course I would, in the town centre, yeah. If I had to, yeah.
You've never done it yet, but you would do.
I've never done it, no, but if they came into a shop or somewhere like that and there's kids around, why don't you cover up?
Makes you quite angry, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it does, actually, yeah. It does.
Dennis, would you speak to a topless man?
If he had tattoos on, yes. I'd want to know where he got them done so I could go and bomb the place.
Oh, Dennis! Naughty, Dennis. The thing is, Justin, we have had lots of people do it. Lots of men do it, OK? We have no calls from any men this morning who will admit to do it. I suspect that the type of men that go topless listen to Heart. We get classier listeners here at BBC Three Counties Radio. Dennis, of course, the exception that proves the rule.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. But I would love a man who has been topless in town, or a woman who finds it hot for a topless man. Some women must get...
Please.
Some women must get aroused by it.
Why? Do you know, it's all about the imagination. It's like when you go onto a beach, and we're talking about beaches here, where people do take their clothes off. When you see women and they're topless, it does nothing for me.
No.
You know, I'm a guy who likes women, and I'm looking across on the beach, and I'm thinking, it's just wrong. You've got to leave some things to the imagination.
And again, we have young ears listening, so I'm going to tread very carefully. But don't the upstairs bits of ladies look quite unattractive on beaches? Any form of eroticism is removed.
Exactly, because it's all out there. Leave some things to the imagination. But I don't think you are going to find any man this morning who is going to phone your programme and they're going to say, yes, I've got no problem walking through a town centre topless, because they know themselves they are an embarrassment. That's why.
Justin Dealey, Dennis and Dunstable, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's put it out there. Can we find someone? There must be someone listening to this, a gentleman or a woman who's been topless in the park, but a gentleman who's walked through a shopping centre, or through Tesco, or through Luton High Street, or through Milton Keynes, or somewhere topless. There must be, because there are I've seen so many. What makes you think, do you know what, it's so hot, I'm going to take my T-shirt off. It is disgusting. It is awful. It looks horrible. It shows you off to be the classless scum that you are. Can you defend your vile position? 08459 455 555. Is there anybody who can defend it? Are you a lady? Well, if you're a lady, would you go topless in a park? Not necessarily sat there with everything on display, but you know that thing where you take your top off and you lie on your front and you undo your bra. Oh dear, it's so common. I don't want side boob. It's so common. It's disgusting. 08459 455 555. Maybe you're a lady that gets excited at the sight of topless men walking through towns. Maybe you think, oh, yes, that looks... I saw a fella, I was in Victoria yesterday, which is such a hideously busy place, and there was a fella, big muscular fella, short shorts, top off, tats on, and people were just looking at him with disgust. Really, lots of people tapping the people they were with, going, look at that, flippin' idiot. 08459 455 555. Can we find anybody this morning listening to BBC Three Counties Radio who can defend this awful practice of wandering around topless in towns? If you're 50 yards or more away from sand, you should have a top on. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or give me a call, 08459 455 555. Coming up to 7:45, let's get the travel now. Here's Adam Glynn.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still disruption on the rails, Greater Anglia affected. It means that trains from Bishop Stortford and from Hertford East to and from Liverpool Street are currently suspended. They have overhead wire problems at Cheshunt, and it's probably going to take until this afternoon to fix those problems. So, for the moment, your tickets are being taken on other national rail providers, and once you get as far as London, on London buses and on the Underground. On the M25, anti-clockwise, it's starting to look quite heavy into the roadworks section from Waltham Abbey to Enfield as people slow down for the speed restriction and the narrow lanes. And it's also quite busy once you're beyond the roadworks from Maple Cross to the M40, junction 17 to 16. Everything else looking pretty clear. Speed sensors not picking up any delays on any of the other major routes. A1M through the Hatfield Tunnel is looking absolutely fine, and no problems on the M40 or the A40. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. It's coming up to 7:46. It's Friday, the 2nd of August. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Bedfordshire Police says it could close down police stations to afford its frontline officers. And people in Ware say nothing has been done to stop the terrible smell of the West Mill landfill site, despite winning a court battle against it. Coming up, we'll be talking to Labour Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire, Ollie Martins, about potential police station closures. Before that, here's Elizabeth with the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Well, yesterday got very hot indeed. We saw temperatures all the way up to 32 degrees Celsius quite widely across the three counties. Today is very different. Now, it's still warm. There will still be some sunshine. Hard to believe if you're getting clobbered by the rain at the moment, but there will be. And temperatures not rising quite so high, only up to around between 24, perhaps as high as 25 degrees a bit later on. We do have some showers working their way up in a southwesterly breeze at the moment. Some of them have the potential to be really quite heavy as well, right across the three counties through the course of the morning. So if you're stepping outside the door now, there is some wet weather to come if it's not raining where you are at the moment. Plenty of cloud as well, but the cloud will clear to give us some breaks. There will be some sunny spells about. Still quite breezy, a southwesterly wind. That's going to help to blow the showers along quite nicely, and we're looking forward to more showers around in the afternoon. Perhaps the odd rumble or two of thunder, flash of lightning, a little bit of drama in those showers at times. And the showers likely to rumble on into this evening, eventually dying away into the early hours tomorrow. A fresher night to come, actually. Temperatures down to 15 or 16 degrees Celsius, so slightly more comfortable night's sleep out of things tonight. And then tomorrow, temperatures 22, 23 degrees, so you can see it is going to feel cooler at the weekend. Another couple of days of sunshine and showers, actually. Those showers a bit fewer and further between on Sunday. If you've got outdoor plans, might just be safe. That's the forecast, Iain.
Thank you very much.
This weekend,
forward now and shoots.
It's back.
And scores.
And so are we.
Welcome to Three Counties Sports.
With over 200 live games this season.
Gets the shot in, finds the bottom corner.
The Football League kicks off this weekend and we'll have 3 live commentaries.
Birmingham versus Watford.
MK Dons away to Shrewsbury.
And Stevenage against Oldham.
Plus regular updates on Wycombe's opener at home to Morecambe.
Three Counties Sport returns to Saturdays this weekend on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I have to toe the company line, and I'm very excited about the football returning, but in my heart, a little bit of me is dying. Now, Bedfordshire Police has admitted it's considering closing police stations to help bridge a funding gap. The force has to find £7.5 million over the next 2 years, and it's now going to review its properties to see if it can sell some. Ollie Martins is the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire. How many police stations are we looking at potentially closing, Ollie?
Well, I haven't made any decisions yet, but as you say, I've got £7.5 million to take out of my budget in the next 2 years because of the government's funding cuts, and we know that we spend £3 million a year on our estates, and the more that I can save of that £3 million, the more police officers and PCSOs that I can keep on the front line. And, you know, the public tell me loud and clear that they want a visible police force, so that's what I'm going to try and do. But I do want to take the temperature of the public about what they think of the police estate, how they access the police in a non-emergency situation, whether they make much use of police stations, what their expectations are. And I think that although this is driven by the cuts, there are opportunities to look at how people access the police, and whether they're through sharing sites with other public bodies, or possibly working with supermarkets to have a space in supermarkets, whether there are actually ways in which we can make the police more accessible than they are in the current estate, even though we're doing it as part of a savings exercise.
So this, we had talks of a Tesco NHS a few weeks ago. This could be a Tesco police force. So they'd have a little booth at the front of Tesco's or Sainsbury's or something.
Well, I don't want to advertise any particular supermarket, because we are on the BBC after all.
Yes.
But yes, essentially that's what we could be looking at.
Do you know how many police stations you're responsible for? Have you got a figure?
I don't have the figure off the top of my head, no.
There will be some people who'll be listening to this and being slightly concerned about this, but is the police station a slightly old-fashioned concept, that there is a place where all the bobbies are and people go there and report crimes?
That's my feeling, but I mean the point of this survey is I want to ask people if they agree with me. I mean, I think about banking, for example. You know, banking has been transformed by information technology. I can't remember the last time I went to my bank. And I think that it could be the same with the police, but obviously I don't want to just be driven by my experience. I want to ask people out there what they think. But, you know, I think you're right that bricks and mortar don't catch criminals, police officers do. And that's why I say that the more that I can save out of the $3 million that we spend on estates, the more I'll be able to protect our frontline officers.
You are consulting the public on this. Has that started yet, and how do people get involved?
If they go to my website, which is bedspcc.org, there's a link, and if they aren't able to access it online, if they call my office, and we'll try and send them a hard copy.
Let's throw it out there, actually. When was the last time you used your police station, dear listener? 08459 455 555. You're doing this. You just explain for those who don't know why you have to find this £7.5 million. What this is about.
Well, because that's the amount by which the government is reducing the police grant, which is the money that comes from central government to fund the police service that we have in Bedfordshire.
So this isn't you that's made this decision, this has come from the government?
No, that's right, I haven't made this decision. I'm not particularly in favour of police cuts. I'm just the guy who has to handle how we make the cuts and how we keep our police service going.
So you're going to have to find this money whatever. You can't win in this situation, can you? You're always going to look like the bad guy, because things are going to go.
Well, I wouldn't have taken the job of Police and Crime Commissioner in Bedfordshire if I wasn't an optimist.
You're optimistic that you can make as good a job of this despite these cuts?
I think that one of the things that you were asking the new chief constable, sorry, not new chief constable.
We've dropped the new. Collector was very firm about that. Yes.
One of the things that I've said is that we need a police service that works very closely with the public, which isn't to say that we don't that there isn't a good relationship already, but we need to work on it. And I'm optimistic that we can build a very good relationship where people work as the eyes and ears of the police and have a lot of confidence in the force. Even in these challenging circumstances, I think we can forge that partnership, and it's through that partnership that we'll keep our county safe.
You're doing this to save frontline officers, but would it mean that some people would lose their jobs if you closed some of these stations?
There's no direct employment implications in reviewing the estates, no, but one of the ways in which we will be making some of the savings will result in us employing less people over time.
So more there will be more job losses?
Well, the police force, both in terms of officers and police staff, will be smaller in a few years' time than it is now, yes.
We spoke to the various police officers over the last few days, and they're saying that morale is very low at the moment. This is going to make things worse for them, isn't it?
I don't think looking at the estates will necessarily make things low. I mean, I was out with a police officer yesterday on patrol for a few hours, and yes, they don't like the way in which their shifts are moved around. They don't like the fact in which they're overstretched. But I mean, in terms of their attitude to the job and responding to the needs of the public, that it's not low morale in that way. And I'm very encouraged by that, and I'm very full of praise for the professionalism of our people, because circumstances are tough at the moment, but they're just getting on with the job, and we couldn't ask more than that.
If everybody is dead against this and says no, we want our police stations open to stay open, what other plans have you got to save money?
Well, it is quite a simple choice between, getting as much as we can out of the $3 million that we spend on estates, and the more that we can save there, the more that we can protect frontline police officers.
So it's either, are you saying that the choice is either we lose officers or we lose buildings?
That's pretty much the top and bottom of it, yeah.
Wow.
Because we're going to be doing everything else that we can to make savings through collaboration, so that's working with our neighbours. We're going to be bringing in information technology so that we can use our officers more efficiently. We're going to be making increasing use of volunteer police officers. So we're looking at everything else that we can do to find the savings. And that's so that we can avoid making any further cuts to frontline police officers.
I tell you how you can make some money, Ollie. Just slap a £200 fine on every topless bloke wandering around. Is that not illegal? Can't we arrest those guys? Chuck them in the cells overnight?
Well, I have to say, I wouldn't inflict my puny body on anyone.
I would never do that. Ollie Martins, thank you very much for coming in. Nice to see you. Let's throw that out, shall we? When was the last time you actually visited a police station? 08459 455 555. Is it a little bit of an old-fashioned concept, really? I'm trying to think. The last time I did go to a police station, it was quite a few years ago. I've spoken to the police since then. 08459 455 555. Ollie, thank you very much. We shall speak to you again at some point in the future. On the subject of topless gentlemen, it turns out the police are powerless to stop this filth. Peter's in Lambeth. Good morning, Peter. Peter? Peter! 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 There's a line, isn't it, from a Bette Davis film? Peter's gone. We'll try and get Peter back. I think Peter, as far as I'm aware, was attempting to defend the perverse practice of going topless around town. It's an awful thing to do. My body's quite puny as well, as is Mr. Martin's. His words, not mine. So I wouldn't want to inflict that. But even if you're buff, even if you're fat, whatever I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. We lost Peter. Peter disappeared. He was going to put forward an argument. We'll speak to him after 8 o'clock. Let's not rush and get him back now because we won't have time. I want to hear his argument. Let's go to Facebook, though. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Lynn says, no, it's not acceptable. Teresa says, it's having a little respect. I think in a park or beach, it's fine. Even in a park in town... But I cringe when I see guys walking down the street without a top. It's horrible. Barry says, I visited what? I visited a church the other day where a woman was stopped by the vicar from entering for being topless. What? No. I have a divine right, said the woman. You may have a divine... Oh, I see, it's a joke. Oh, for goodness sakes, I knew we were... Oh, dear me. Scott says the gentleman we've pictured there looks like Homer Simpson. I think that's a little bit harsh, Scott. It's not the most attractive of topless bodies we could have found, though. Well, actually, it is the most attractive of topless bodies we could find. Trust me, we spent ages trying to find one. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Can you defend being topless in town. And when was the last time you used a police station? Ollie Martins has pretty much said, well, he did say, we either get rid of coppers or we get rid of police stations. I think I know which way that vote's going to go.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A602 in Stevenage eastbound is looking pretty slow. There's a lane closed off between the A1M at Junction 7 and the Gunnells Wood Road at the Glaxo roundabout. This is restrictions in place because of the Eastern Electrics Festival. In Dunstable, the A505 looking slow, particularly from Station Road toward the A5 at the High Street traffic lights. The A10 in Enfield, just inside the M25, looking slow between Bullsmore Lane and Southbury Road on the southbound side. On the M25, anti-clockwise, there's heavy traffic Waltham Abbey to Enfield, also slow Maple Cross to the M40. Disruption for Greater Anglia, they have overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means trains from Bishop Stortford and from Hertford East to London are suspended. Tickets being taken on other rail providers, and once you get as far as London on buses and the Tube. On the Tube, though, the Northern Line has been suspended between High Barnes and Finchley Central. This is because of a signal failure. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Seriously, when was the last time you used a police station? If you had the choice, what would you get rid of? Coppers or their buildings? 08459 455 555 is the news and sport now with Lee Agnew.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: police stations could close in Bedfordshire, Luton woman to get compensation after injury at nursery, and residents battle against a smelly landfill site in Hertfordshire.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire Police could be closing police stations to help save £7.5 million. The force says it would be better to spend the money on more frontline officers. Ollie Martins, the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire, told Iain Lee that no firm decisions have yet been made.
I do want to take the temperature of the public about what they think of the police estate, how they access the police in a non-emergency situation, whether they make much use of police stations, what their expectations are. The public tell me loud and clear that they want a visible police force, so that's what I'm going to try and do.
A woman from Luton who was badly injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery has been told it could be several years before she gets compensation. Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden was found to be in breach of health and safety regulations when Aileen Cooper got hurt. Her solicitor, Ben Posford, said the injury has completely affected her life.
Compensation in a case like this isn't a lump sum just to go and do what you want with. Typically, it involves an annual payment for life, and that payment will each year pay for care, therapy, support, so on and so forth.
The brother of a Hertfordshire woman who died after routine surgery at the Lister Surgery Centre in Stevenage has welcomed the Department of Health's decision to buy the private clinic. It will cost £53 million to take over the centre after inspectors found that patients were being put at risk. Michael Mancy from Hitchin has been campaigning for change since his 87-year-old sister Antoinetta died.
I'm delighted because it's in the care of the right people, and cost would not be paramount. Profit in the NHS, they don't have to make a profit. I feel happy that people that are going to the new centre will go in and not come out in a box because of lack of care.
People in Ware say they can't put up with the smell coming from the Westmill landfill site any longer. Last year, residents won a long-running court battle against Biffa Waste Services, but they say nothing has improved. Alan Warman, the Conservative councillor for Ware at East Hants District Council, says it's still unbearable.
The smell can be quite horrendous. There was a case, and reported at the court case, where one lady was in the garden and she was overcome by so much smell, it made her physically sick. In fact, she was sick in the garden. You have to keep the door shut, the window shut. It varies day to day, and of course on the weather and many other contributing factors with it.
In sport, Australia will resume this morning on 303 for 3 on day 2 of the third Ashes Test at Old Trafford. Captain Michael Clarke is unbeaten on 125 runs. The weather will turn cloudy this morning with sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3counties.
Thank you, Lee. morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 3 minutes past 8, Friday the 2nd of August. Oh, it's nearly the weekend. Lots coming up on the show today, and there's a fly that's constantly flying around me. I managed to... Oh, I caught it! Boom! That fly ain't flying no more. I am Mr. Miyagi. Sorry that you had to witness a murder live on the radio. Someone will complain. Someone will complain. Compensation this morning. One woman is in line for £1 million after injuring her back lifting a baby. A set of neighbours want compensation for living with a smell for 9 years. And I want compensation for having to look at all those dirty, filthy, sweaty, flabby, topless bodies walking around. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Very quickly, a side note. Earlier this week, we were talking about the problems with the new 111 NHS helpline. Well, now our colleagues and Look East are keen to hear your experiences. If you've had a problem with the 111 call system, could you send us an email, 3cr@bbc.co.uk, with your phone number, a little line about what happened, and we'll pass your stories on to Look East. So again, if you've had problems with the 111 call system, send us an email, 3cr@bbc.co.uk, and we will pass on your details. A nursery nurse who injured her back lifting a baby into a cot is expected to receive at least £1 million in compensation from her former employers in Harpenden. The High Court found that Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery had breached health and safety rules by allowing 45-year-old Eileen Cooper to use faulty equipment. The sides of the cot were supposed to drop down, but they didn't. Well, to speak more generally about cases like this and what can be done if you suffer an injury at work, we're joined now by Bryony Krikorian, who is Policy Advisor for Liability Regulation at the Association of British Insurers. Morning, Bryony.
Good morning.
First of all, Bryony, how common is it for cases with employers to end up in the High Court? That seems a little extreme to me.
It isn't actually that common. So the majority of personal injury cases will be settled pre-litigation, so before going into court.
If someone feels they've been injured at work, what options are there if they want to sue?
OK, well, the first thing to note is that employers have got a duty of care towards their employees in law. So the first thing you should do is always let your employer know that an accident's taken place, whether that's in the workplace or driving for work, for example. Most employers will have an accident book, so where they can record everything that happens. If they haven't got that, you should be going out and making sure you record the details of your accident.
Cases such as Eileen's, where she's left with a serious injury and probably won't be able to work for the rest of her life, are these common?
Not that common, I would say. So the range of cases, does vary depending on the industry you're in. So if you're in construction, you will see this kind of case more often. Fall from height, for example. Driving accidents are fairly common in the workplace. In a nursery, it's not something you would see very often, but in the health industry, you might see that. For example, in care homes, you might see this kind of injury more often. But the size of the compensation is calculated on various factors. So one of them is what's the severity of the injuries themselves? How does this affect the claimant's life? So can she work again? Are they able to, for example, bear children after the event? Obviously, might not apply in this case, and what's the care, the lifelong care they would need as a result of the injury, and what's the age of the claimant will also be taken into account, because that will affect the longevity of the care.
Well, I was going to say again with this case, I think that the lady involved is 45, something like that, and there is talk of possibly £1 million, which sounds like a lot. But if you think that person could live for another 40 years, and it's to support them in their everyday life, I guess perhaps £1 million isn't that much, is it?
No, that's right. I think that's right. So we do see cases of £1 million and upwards, up to £5 million. There are examples of motor crashes where, especially young people, in their early 20s, several young people in one car can be paraplegic for life, so they can't use any of their limbs, need full-time care. Those cases you will see several £1 million potentially compensation.
Is it usual for these cases to be settled out of court?
Yes, it is. So the focus or the key for insurers really is to make sure that people get early access to things like rehabilitation through their employer, and also that they get their compensation quickly and fairly. And their emphasis will be on direct communication and dialogue with the claimant and trying to settle that case as quickly as possible without having to go to court.
Bryony, thank you very much. That's Bryony Krikorian, the Policy Advisor for Liability Regulation at the Association of British Insurers. I want a long title, please.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just rustling my papers. Makes me sound busy. No. Topless people. Wandering around towns, you are disgusting, you are deviant, you are perverted. Stop it. You are affecting the minds of not only our youth, but our adults. Our old people who fought in the war didn't go and fight old Jerry so that you'd have the rights to walk around Luton without your top on. It's awful. I don't want to see that. It makes me physically ill. Peter's in Lambeth. Peter, you agree with me, don't you?
No, not at all.
Oh, go on.
No, I haven't got a problem with walking around with no shirt on in a town centre or anywhere else.
Disgusting. You're one of them that does it, are you?
Yep, I've done it very often over the years. I'm getting on a bit now, but...
Would you do it now, as an old man?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll still do it.
What's your body like?
Well, getting on a bit now, I've got a little bit of extra padding around the waist.
So what are you in your 60s?
No, I'm just coming up for that. I'm 58.
Okay, so you're an old, flabby, grey, droopy old man wandering around town topless. What on earth makes you think that's acceptable?
Well, why not?
Because it's horrible. I don't want to see it. You're invading my eyes and my brain space.
Don't look then.
No, but don't look. Of course I've got to look, Peter. If I see that wobbling towards me, what am I going to do?
No, just turn your eyes away. Forget about it. It's quite simple, I mean, I agree with what the person was saying earlier about women topless in parks and that when there's kids about.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
No.
I find it acceptable on a beach, but
what about the poor children who are going to be scarred by seeing you, Peter?
And they want to be scarred by seeing me.
The thing
I don't agree with that way of thinking, I mean, everyone's got the right to do what they want to do.
Well, they haven't. They haven't got the right to do what they want to do. There are laws and rules in place, and admittedly, it's not illegal to walk around topless, but morally, it's inappropriate. The thing is, Peter, you don't have to look at you, so you're not suffering. It's everybody in your immediate vicinity that's suffering.
I'll have to look at me every morning when I have a shower.
Yeah, but not when you're topless walking through the high street, you don't.
No, but then there's people that have got worse body shapes than me that are old. I mean, it's accepted all across the continent, all across Europe. Old people, a lot older than I am, walking about topless.
In beaches, you wouldn't get topless people walking around in Greece, for example.
Oh, I don't know. I've never been to Greece.
I've been to
Spain.
Not in
Spain they do.
Not in the towns they don't. By the beaches they do, but not in the towns. The Spanish people won't.
Well, going to the beach and from the beach they do. I've seen it myself. I've been there.
Well, yes, the beach. That's the key word, Peter. How close are you to the nearest beach?
Nearest one to me is about 50 mile away.
So you're nowhere near the beach. You're not going. If you're near the beach, if you're at those shops that sell the lilos and the buckets and the fishing nets, then yes. But you're 50 miles away from a beach, Peter. Have some respect.
Oh, as I say, everyone's entitled to do as they see fit to do. I mean, I'm comfortable walking around with no shirt on. If other people are offended by it, then as I say, all they've got to do is turn their eyes away.
Suppose they walked around with no pants on.
That's totally different.
But you know, Peter, as you just said, everybody's got the right to do what they want to do. I want to walk around with no pants on. I'm comfortable with it.
Well, if you feel that way, then feel free to do so, but that is against the law.
OK. Peter, thank you very much indeed. Oh, dearie me. Broken Britain, there you go. Does anybody agree with Peter? Do you think, were you listening to that thinking I was a little bit harsh? Anybody agree with Peter there? I think it's disgusting. 08459 455 555. Oh, look who it is. It's Luann. Hello, Luann.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning to you. Now, you posted the picture of your young daughter's thimble collection.
I did.
What's your daughter's name?
Caitlin.
Caitlin. She's 8 years old.
She is.
How many thimbles has she got?
I would say she's got approximately 50.
50 thimbles?
Yep.
Why?
Well, they were my mum's collection. Every time we went away as children, you know, like if you went on a school trip or something like that, we brought her one back. It just became a tradition that we would bring her one back from the odd shop, you know, when you went on a school holiday.
Yeah.
And it just grew and grew and grew. When my mum downsized from a 4-bed house to a 2-bed flat, she said, I've got to get rid of stuff. And my daughter kind of adopted her thimble collection. She absolutely loves them.
Well, I think that's very sweet. Is Caitlin there?
She is.
Can I have a word with her?
Speak to her.
Yes, please.
She's going to tell you about her favourite thimble.
Oh, fantastic.
Hello.
Morning, Caitlin, you all right?
Yes.
So you've got all these thimbles.
Yeah.
What do you do with them? Do you play with them? Do you look at them?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah? What games do you play with thimbles?
Well, sometimes I get, like, a little bit of scrunched paper.
Yeah.
I put it in the cup. I get 3, put one ball in the cup, and then someone, like, mix them around, and then I've got to try and guess which one it is.
Ah, that's a good game. What's your favourite thimble out of all of them?
Well, my favourite one is, like, this poodle sitting on a tree stump.
And why is that so special to you?
Because it's, like, it's got a 3D thimble thingy.
3D?
A poodle.
3D thimble poodles. Do you know what thimbles are for?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to use them for?
Sewing.
You're absolutely spot on. Well, that's something. And Caitlin, supposing I were to offer you money for your thimble collection, would you sell it to me?
Maybe a couple, yeah.
Oh, okay. How much are they going for?
About maybe 75p each.
That's a little better price than I thought. If you were to get rid of one, what's your least favourite? The one you think, oh, I hate that one.
I've got 2.
Yeah.
The same, and it's like a blue one.
Yeah.
With like houses on them.
Oh, you don't want that. That sounds rubbish. Give it to me for free.
Okay.
Yeah, nice one. I tricked an 8-year-old into giving me... Caitlin, don't. It's very kind of you, but you keep them. Congratulations on having a lovely collection, and you keep on collecting.
Okay.
Thank you, Caitlin. There we go. Wasn't she delightful? Well done. Well, the hobby of thimble collecting is alive and well, and 8-year-old Caitlin is continuing that tradition. Well, good for her.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Pretty slow this morning in Stevenage. The A602 eastbound, there's a lane closed between the A1M and the Gunnells Wood Road. It's restrictions in place for the Eastern Electrics Festival, and it's just causing traffic to slow right down. Things a bit busy in Dunstable on the A505, particularly down toward the A5 junction. Things moving quite well on the A10 through Cheshunt. It's slow though once you get onto the other side of the M25 and continue through Enfield. It's busy from Bullsmore Lane towards Southbury Road. Looking at the M25, anti-clockwise, there's slow traffic Waltham Abbey to Potters Bar into the roadworks, and heavy traffic Maple Cross to the M40. Problems on the trains. This is Greater Anglia. They've got overhead wire problems at Cheshunt, and it means trains from Bishop Stortford and from Hertford East down to Liverpool Street are suspended. Tickets are being taken on other rail providers, as well as on London buses and on the Underground once you get as far as London. And the Stansted Express not running because of these problems as well. Also trouble for the Northern Line tube. Severe delays High Barnet to Finchley Central because of a signal failure at High Barnet. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 8:17, it's Friday the 2nd of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire Police says closing down some of its police stations could help pay for more frontline officers. Lawyers say a woman from Luton will be in pain for the rest of her life after getting injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery. And people in Ware say the Westmill landfill site is still emitting a hideous stench, despite winning a court battle against it. Weather today, cloudy this morning, sunny this afternoon, with showers throughout the day. Coming up, more on that stinky landfill site in Ware.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every Sunday morning from 6.
Helen Lee.
We bring you current affairs and life from a faith perspective across the three counties.
Helen Lee.
Poverty is a universal problem, but how are our local churches helping those in need?
We know that when they ask us to provide food, we're not doing it to make their life easy, we're doing it because someone's in desperate need.
Every Sunday morning from 6.
The Church of England say they believe marriage to be between a man and a woman.
I believe very passionately that civil partnership was way overdue.
Helen Lee.
Every Sunday morning from 6.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Away you go, Jonathan Vernon Smith. You're pretty much the king of radio at the moment, aren't you? We should phone up Norris McWhirter. Oh, is he? And get you in the Guinness Book of Records. A 45% increase on your listenership.
Oh no, stop that! Don't bring that up.
No, I'm bringing it up as you did on your Facebook page and indeed on your Twitter feed, and as you did on this piece of paper you've just handed me.
And I will be at 9.
You should do 45% year on year is incredible.
I know. I've now got 5 listeners. It's incredible.
Someone did post on Facebook. Did you see what they posted on Facebook?
No.
Some people are so miserable, and some people will never ever be happy. This is one of the reasons why. Just allow us a little pat on the back for a minute, please, if you wouldn't mind. Just allow us a little self-congratulatory pat on the back. Jack Frost. Figures up 45% year on year for your show. What does that mean? It could mean that JVS had 20 listeners. Now, after a year, he's got 29. How does Ray John know who is listening? Does anybody know, or do they just pluck a figure out of the air?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to delete that.
I'm going to delete that.
It's gone.
He's entitled to a silly view.
No, I've not blocked him. I've deleted it. How rude.
Well, I mean...
How rude.
It's all right. We'll leave the grumblers.
Leave the growlers out of it. Just to let us have a day's self-indulgence, please, for goodness sakes.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on your audience figures as well.
I don't know what they are.
We have an audience at breakfast. That's all you need to know.
That's an improvement, isn't it? There's another one as well. Chris Day says...
Why are you reading these out?
They make me laugh. This is a good one. Great figures for this slot. This is for you. Great figures for this slot. Please let's have gardening and lifestyle back soon, please. Well done, JVS.
What, on my show?
I think so. So well done, but what you need is gardening and lifestyle.
Gardening and lifestyle, right.
We've got the gardening expert coming in for the next hour. Give us a call with your gardening problems and we'll see. Get it in.
I'm not joining in with this conversation. Getting funny looks from your producer.
Oh dear, really? Oh dear. What?
The former gardening show presenter.
Sorry? Oh, is that you?
Used to be, yeah.
Were you the gardening show presenter?
Yeah, then I got sacked.
Oh, hang on. This has been posted by a Catherine Boyle, I see.
We want gardening back with Catherine Boyle.
She was... What on earth do you know about gardening?
Nothing. I didn't have a garden either.
She lived in a flat.
We did really well.
I remember that.
It wasn't really about gardening, was it? It was a ruse for me and Paul Scoins to play records.
Was Paul Scoins on it as well?
Yeah, he's been my producer.
The expert.
So you and Paul Scoins would do a gardening show?
Yeah, dance in the mornings.
Back in the good old days.
When Three Counties Radio was a station to be reckoned with. It had no listeners, but it was a station to be reckoned with.
We had a right laugh.
Well done. Thank you, Catherine. How funny. How funny. Anyway, what have you got on your show today?
Well, I've been very interested in your compensation chat.
Yes.
So from 9 this morning, we'll continue this through. I'm asking, do you think it's right to claim compensation when things go wrong? A former nursery worker has won her case against her Harpenden employer after damaging her back, getting a baby in and out of a cot. The amount of compensation she'll receive is expected to be over £1 million. Eileen Cooper was working at the Rothamsted Little Stars nursery when she slipped a disc, which then damaged her spinal cord, leaving her with a very rare condition, which you can pronounce. I certainly can't.
Yes, I can.
The court found the nursery required her to use faulty cots. which was in breach of their own health and safety risk assessments. Well, from 9 this morning, I want your views on this and other compensation claims. Do you think it's quite right to claim compensation when things go wrong? When you go into hospital and they make a mistake with an operation, should you claim compensation? When you go to hospital and they misdiagnose something, should you claim compensation? When at work you sustain an injury, should you claim compensation? Exactly, you get the idea. Yeah. Well, from 9 this morning, I want your views on this. Do you think it's quite right to claim compensation when things go wrong, or are things going far too far? 08459 455 555, it's the big phone in from 9.
It's an American thing, isn't it? Because 15 years ago we didn't have this compensation culture, and it's come over from America, the ambulance chases and all of that kind of nonsense.
But I guess the counter-argument with all of that is that if you claim compensation, you would hope that the employer, the hospital, whoever it is, they will then improve their kind of audit or whatever they have to do to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen to anybody else. So I guess if you just let companies get away with it, if you let hospitals get away with it, do you then just allow the problem to perhaps happen to someone else? I don't know. Your views from 9.
And you'll have the answer at 10, won't you?
By 10 we will have worked this out. We will have cracked it.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Residents in Ware say they are living with what they describe as the smell of rotting waste and flesh for almost 9 years. Biffa Waste Services, who run the Westmill site in Hertfordshire, lost a High Court battle last June after the company ignored local complaints about the smells they emitted from their landfill site. However, since the court case, residents of the Vicarage estate say they have done nothing to compensate them, and the smell is still there. Well, with us now is Helen Bingham from the Keep Britain Tidy campaign, who runs the Waste Watch programme. Helen, why is this smell so bad?
Well, it's because of all the things that we all throw away that we shouldn't really be putting in bins that end up going to landfill. We need to stop sending things to landfill. That's the answer. That would solve the problem.
What should we be doing instead?
We should be recycling more. We've done...
What, dead fish? Dead fish?
They should be going into food recycling. What we need is for every local authority in the country to follow examples of the ones that have introduced food recycling. We shouldn't be sending food to landfill. We shouldn't be throwing food away in the way that we are. We throw away thousands of pounds worth of food that, you know, it's just waste, and we can't afford to keep doing that.
But for companies like Biffa, this is their business. They're not going to stop doing something that makes them money. And that would also mean a huge change to the infrastructure of the country.
Our recycling rates over the last 12, 13 years have improved dramatically. We've gone from about 7% up to over 40% of stuff is now being recycled. But it's plateauing now. We need to recycle more. We can't afford to keep throwing what are resources away and chucking them in holes in the ground. We need to start thinking about the way we use the resources we have. And when it comes to food, that should all go into food waste bins.
Then what happens?
Then that gets composted. If you don't have food recycling and you do have a garden, compost whatever you can.
It's a faff, isn't it? Though it's a hassle.
I do it. It's not a faff. My council introduced it about 2 years ago, and it's brilliant. And what it also does is make us think about when you see your food that you've bought and paid for going straight from your fridge because it's out of date or you've just not got around to using it. When you see that going straight into a bin, a separate bin, you start to realise how much food we're all wasting, and it does change your behaviour. It makes you think a little bit more, and that, you know, sending food that could have been eaten straight into the landfill is such a waste.
Helen, thank you very much. Helen Bingham from Keep Britain Tidy. And I'm joined now by Jan Hike, who is the chair of the National Association of Estate Agents. Jan, when someone lives near a rubbish dump, it must be rather hard to sell their house. Oh, no, you're there. Sorry, hello, I had the wrong fader. I do apologise.
That's all right.
Jan, it must be hard to sell your house if it's next to a stinky dump.
Well, of course, and the difficulty is obviously some people have bought their house many, many years ago, and the household recycling centre has appeared since their ownership. Obviously, that's something that they are going to have to overcome when they come to sell. Other people have made a conscious decision to buy a property on a site that is adjacent to a landfill site, and usually they will have bought at a price that reflects that. But I completely agree, and I do sympathise with people, and particularly this time of year it becomes a big issue because, of course, with the heat it makes the smells worse, and then the wind carries the smells and so on and so forth. But it's not impossible, and the number of sites that we're aware of have sort of got together as a community and gone to the household waste centre and said, look, what can be done about this? Can we work together and try and use some chemicals to mask the smell and that kind of thing? It does depend on the cooperation of the household waste sites.
Biffa, as far as I'm concerned, have been very rude by saying they were going to give us a spokesperson today and then not. If you were trying to sell a house on the vicarage estate that was very stinky, what estate agent magic would you use to try and make that house perhaps a little bit more desirable?
Well, first of all, I would say that estate agents are governed by the consumer protection regulations, as most other transaction organisations are. And that does mean to say that we are obliged by law to mention anything that may materially affect the transactional decision of a potential buyer. So in other words, if you don't mention that there's a household waste site adjacent such that it does affect the properties, then you are breaking the law. So it is a difficult position for an estate agent to try to wrap up that situation in anything.
But you're not going to put on the window, nice 4-bedroom house, lovely garden, bit stinky.
No, you're not going to do that. But it would be remiss of the agent not to mention the fact that there is a household waste site nearby. And in fact, this also affects the vendor as well. The seller of the property is also obliged to mention this, if it comes up. But again, it's not going to be a secret in an area where there is a large household waste site and an adjacent development. You're going to find that people, even probably before they view a property, will go on Google Earth and have a look and see what lies around the area. But there again, if you've got that on one side, you've got open fields and golf courses and leisure centres on the other side. There are compensatory factors, and it's the job of the estate agent to say, well, yes, we have to acknowledge that there is this issue here, but what about the lovely golf course that you look over at the front of the property, and what about the access to schools and good schools and roads and employment in the area and that kind of thing? So you have to create a balance.
Jan, thank you very much. Jan Hike, Chair of the National Association of Estate Agents. Well, since our investigations into this story started, we've been in contact with Biffa, who were described as having a, quote, bullying, unquote, attitude towards the Hertfordshire residents. That came from the High Court judge last year. Well, Biffa told us they would provide a spokesperson today, and I'd like to go and speak to them now, but they didn't provide a spokesperson today. They sent us a statement, which I'm not going to read. If you promise you're going to send somebody or give us somebody to talk to and then don't, there is no chance I'm going to read your statement in the slightest. Biffa, you have embarrassed yourself here. You've been rude to me and the listener, but also rude to those people involved in this. Come on the air and talk to us. Send me an email, iain.lee@bbc.co.uk, or give us a call, 08459 455 555. 8:30, let's get the travel now. Here's Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cheers, Iain. Problems on the A603 in Sandy. It's been closed both ways because of an accident between the A1 at the Sandy roundabout and the St John's Road at Moggerhanger. The road's been shut there now for about half an hour, and it's looking a little bit slow around the closure. The A602 in Stevenage is definitely looking slow at the minute. Eastbound, there's a lane closed from the A1M across toward the Glaxo roundabout. This is restrictions for the Eastern Electrics Festival. The M25 anti-clockwise, slow moving from Waltham Abbey to Potters Bar as traffic heads into the roadworks section. It's also heavy anti-clockwise from Maple Cross to the M40, and disruption on the trains continues for Greater Anglia. They're affected on a few of their routes because of overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means trains from Bishop Stortford and from Hertford East toward Liverpool Street are currently suspended. Tickets will be taken on other train providers, and once you get as far as London, on London buses and on the Underground. The Northern Line tube, that's running with severe delays. High Barnet to Finchley Central because of a signal failure at High Barnet. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 5:30. 8:30, I'm Lee Agnew. The headlines: Bedfordshire's police commissioner says police stations will have to close if they want to keep up the number of frontline officers. The force needs to save around £7.5 million. Lawyers say a woman from Luton will be in pain for the rest of her life after getting injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery. Rothamsted Little Stars Nursery in Harpenden was found to have breached health and safety regulations when Aileen Cooper got hurt. People in Ware say they can't put up with the smell coming from the Westmill landfill site any longer. Last year, residents won a long-running court battle against Biffa Waste Services, but they say nothing has improved. The weather will be cloudy this morning with sunny spells this afternoon, but showers throughout the day. Top temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Australia resumes on 303 for 3 on day 2 of the third Ashes test at Old Trafford. Captain Michael Clarke led from the front, making 125 not out. Tim Bresnan took one of the 3 wickets to fall yesterday and feels England didn't bowl too badly.
We're quite pleased with the way we stuck in there. We thought we stuck to our task pretty well. It's not like we didn't create any chances. We passed the outside edge frequently. Just on another day, those might be nicks. Hopefully we'll get our rewards in the end.
The Football League season kicks off tomorrow. Watford begin their championship campaign away to Birmingham. In League One, MK Dons are at Shrewsbury and Stevenage host Oldham. Wycombe kick off their League Two season at home to Morecambe. And the Wanderers manager Gareth Ainsworth admits that defender Charles Dunn is attracting attention from clubs in higher divisions.
It'll pan out whichever way it's going to be, and I'll be there for Charles, and we'll be there as a staff whatever way it goes. But he's a cracking player and a quality lad, and I think he's very rightly so opened a few eyes.
Jessica Ennis-Hill could be out for up to 15 weeks with the Achilles problem, which has caused her to pull out of the World Athletics Championships. Ennis-Hill's coach, Tony Minicello, says they have to manage her injury carefully.
Achilles tendons are notoriously awkward injuries. There's a period of rest that we'll go through, but then tendons, in order to recover, have to be exercised in some way. But you are looking at, if we're lucky, then a 12 to 15 week recuperation period to hope to become pain-free at the end of it.
And finally, Rory McIlroy is 6 shots off the lead of Webb Simpson at the World Golf Championship. Simpson carded a first round 6 under par 64. BBC Three Counties News and Sport, more at 9 o'clock.
No! Yes.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. A little bit of a problem with the computer and indeed my production team. I don't know what's happened to this computer. Did you hear the panic in my voice just then? I'm going to press a button. See, I don't know. The computer's gone bonkers now. Everything's everything is completely not going to play. Oh, dearie me. Hang on a second. Let me play this. This is 15 seconds. I can fix it.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
OK, I don't touch. I don't know what happened there. I think we could be all right, but we may not be all right. Let's just see. There could be... let's just see. We might get R. Kelly again, which is not a bad thing at all, is it? Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. The NHS is to take over the running of the Lister Surgery Centre in Stevenage after an inspection found patients' health and welfare was at risk. On this programme, you may remember, we brought you some pretty harrowing stories of the relatives of patients who died after going into the centre for routine surgery. 87-year-old Antonietta Mansi went to the Clinic Centre-owned unit for a routine knee operation, but died 4 days later. Her brother Michael from Hitchin describes what happened.
She was okay afterwards. She was walking, she was doing all the exercises, everything that was required of her, she did. But I consider there was general lack of care, and she developed bronchopneumonia and she died. I consider that had she been given a little bit more care and they'd noticed her deterioration quicker and consultants were advised quicker, she may well have been here today.
Well, now the Clinic Centre services will be taken over by East and North Hertfordshire NHS Trust, but it's come at a price. It's costing the Department of Health more than £53 million. On the line now is the Conservative MP for Stevenage, Stephen McPartland. Morning, Stephen. How has this come about?
Good morning, Iain. Well, I'm absolutely delighted that the Lister Hospital is going to be running the surgery centre now. I campaigned long and hard, and we finally managed to persuade Jeremy Hunt, Secretary of State for Health, to purchase the facility because patient safety is paramount.
53 million quid is a lot of money to spend after the failings of a private company, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculously amount of money. It comes on top of another £150 million investment we're pumping into our hospital. But the previous government signed this stupid contract, which you would not believe. Even if they didn't operate on people, they were going to be paid £1 million a month, and no matter what happens. So what we've done is we've bought the facility lock, stock and barrel, and we're giving it to the local hospital trust to manage and run.
Why do you think this is the best approach?
I've been involved in this for over 18 months now, and unfortunately the story that Mr. Mancy told you about, and I know him, is not one that's very rare. I mean, as you know, around three people did die. 8,500 patients' records were lost. GPs stopped referring their patients to the facility. They'd lost the trust of the local medical professionals, they'd lost the trust of the local community, and nobody wanted to use the facility. The real problem is not the NHS staff who worked in it on a day-to-day basis. They've been transferred over from the hospital. It's the way it was being run. I mean, you have to imagine this, Iain. They put a building company in charge of complex eye operations and surgical procedures and then expected it to work, and I had no idea why they thought that would work. These guys had no experience whatsoever of dealing in healthcare.
And how will the running of the centre be funded, Stephen?
It already is funded through the NHS anyway, so it'll just continue being funded through the NHS. This is what was mad. I mean, the previous government and this building company, Carillion, they put profits before patient safety and effectively played Russian roulette with our NHS.
Stephen, thank you very much for your time. Conservative MP for Stevenage, Stephen McPartland, and no doubt we'll be following that story very closely as it develops.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the phone number. It was hot yesterday. Man, it was hot. It wasn't hot enough, though, to warrant you taking your tops off, you deviants, you sick-minded individuals. It's never hot enough. One of my jobs once was picking up litter in the Pakistan desert, right? I had to do that. I didn't go topless. It was hotter than it was in Luton yesterday, hotter than it was in London yesterday. I didn't go topless. People were. It was disgusting. No one should walk around topless in town. There are pictures in the newspapers of topless women in parks. I think it's outrageous. Justin Dealey has been out and about. Justin, strangely, you agree with me on this, don't you?
You know what? It is disgusting.
Horrible.
You see these men, they think they're walking through town centres, they're topless. They are a disgrace to this country. It's horrendous.
We had Peter phoned up trying to defend it, and he said, Will, if you don't like it, look away. Oh, come on, mate.
Dearie me.
Disgusting. You've been speaking to some people about this, haven't you?
Yeah, now, do you think men should be fined for going topless in town centres, Iain?
£80 on the spot fine, yes.
Oh, we can do better than that, because I've been speaking to Maynard. Now, he's on holiday in Bedfordshire at the moment, but he lives in Spain. Now, there, they do fine men for going topless, which I think is fantastic. So I asked Maynard just how much that fine is.
Up to €3,000, but that is not in all of Spain. That is where I live. I live in Almeria, and on the beach, yes, but in the town, in the shopping centres, no.
€3,000 fine?
Well, that's the maximum, I suppose.
If the fine is there, where you come from in Spain, do you think we should have that fine here in this country?
Well, if there's a public opinion that finds it offensive that men are walking shirtless, and some of them are not a pretty sight.
No, that's true.
And then if the majority of people think it is offensive or find it offensive, then there should be a regulation against it. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
3,000. Oh, I'm there. I am there, Justin. I'll have that.
Do you know what? It's fantastic because as a nation we know we are broke. Now, if this fine was to come into play here in the UK, a bit like Spain, a €3,000 fine, we would make this country an absolute fortune, wouldn't we?
We would make a fortune. I said this to Ollie Martins. This is what you want to do to save your 7.5 million quid. Don't get rid of coppers or close police stations. Find tubbies who walk around topless. And Fifi Powell Brown on Facebook. I can imagine Iain Ian has a puny, pasty body. I can see why he needs everyone to cover up. Jealousy is a bad-tasting pill.
This is not about jealousy.
This is not about jealousy. This is about common decency. And these people are common and indecent.
Well, do you know what, Ian? Interesting you say that, because it's often the people who do work out, who don't go topless. And you answer me this question. When was the last time you saw a good-looking naturist?
No.
Just saying.
Do people agree with me on this, Justin?
In a word, yes, they do. Here's what people had to say this morning.
On my eyes, it's not, no. Not with there's kids and that running around and things like that.
So, if you saw a man walking through this town centre and he had his top off, would that make you feel a bit sick?
Well, it would actually, yeah. I think if you're in the town centre and that with the kids that are around, you should be covered up.
What about women in parks then? Because we've seen the pictures in the papers today. Women in parks yesterday, a hot day, completely topless.
No, not in a public place or anything like that. No, I don't agree with that at all.
Would you ever step in and say, what do you think you're doing?
Well, I would actually stop somebody if I saw them topless, yeah, definitely.
So you'd actually go up to a man and say, can you put your top on?
Well, of course I would, in the town centre, yeah. If I had to, yeah.
You've never done it yet, but you would do?
I've never done it, no, but find if they came into a shop or somewhere like that and there's kids around, you know, why don't you cover up?
Makes you quite angry, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it does, actually, yeah. It does.
Well, Justin, it is disgusting. It's a perverse attitude, and we shouldn't be having any of this nonsense in this country at all, should we?
No, to be quite honest with you, absolutely no, we shouldn't. And for once, well, I say for once, we've been agreeing quite a lot recently, and I think you're absolutely bang on the money this morning.
Do you fancy going out to see a film next week?
Yeah, what do you fancy?
That Alan Partridge film looks a bit tasty.
Hey, yeah, based on you, why not?
Yeah, do you fancy going to see that?
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds great.
Mike!
Hello.
Hello, Mike. What do you think? Topless men walking around town, is it ever acceptable?
No, I think it's horrible. I had an unfortunate experience of this a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I got on a bus to Welling, and there was one of these topless apes sitting in the front seat.
Oh, no. That means at some point someone is going to sit and touch where his sweaty, hairy flesh has touched.
Well, that's what I thought. I went right to the back of the bus, but of course you couldn't miss him sitting in the back of the bus. There he was, stuck in front, you know. Fortunately, he got off about halfway through the journey, so it wasn't so bad. One thing I'll say in his favour, and it's only just in his favour, he had a very good physique and he was very tanned, and I think he was trying to show off, to be frank with you.
Whoa.
But even so, having said that, I didn't want to see him.
Don't these people have any sense of shame?
I don't think so, no. I think they think that if you've got it, flaunt it, and I think this bloke just thought he'd got something to flaunt and he sat in the bus. But to sit, I really wanted the driver to tell him to put his top on, but these drivers don't, of course.
I very rarely go topless in my own house. I feel self-conscious. I don't want to... I just think... Mike, listen, thank you very much for that. I'm sorry you had to endure that. We'll give out a helpline number later on, and we won't. But it is disgusting. And then Peter, who phoned up earlier and said, they do it on the continent. Well, we've heard they don't. Kath, you're saying that your friend's dad got told off somewhere?
Yeah. My dad's friend, Trev.
Trev?
Naughty Trev.
See, Trev would be topless.
He was a builder.
Yeah.
Wandering round they were.
Yeah.
On holiday in Italy.
Yeah.
And he thought he'd nip into a shop. Shopkeeper told him to get out.
Good.
With his shirt on.
Good for him. Very rarely do I agree with Italians, but on this time I'm completely behind them. 08459 455 555. Got a little bit of music, live music coming up before the end of the show, but first of all, 8:45, let's go to Adam for the latest travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Sandy, the A603 is still closed. This is following an accident. It's shut between the A1 at the Sandy roundabout and the St John's Road at Moggerhanger, and it's looking quite slow approaching the closure. The A602 eastbound in Stevenage, there's one lane closed and pretty heavy traffic between the A1M and the Gunnelswood Road at the Glaxo roundabout. The footpath has been widened so people can walk safely to the Eastern Electrics Festival. Church Street in Dunstable, this is the A505, and heading into Dunstable it's slow from Station Road toward the A5 at the High Street traffic lights. M25 anti-clockwise slow going into the roadworks past Enfield, and on the trains disruption for Greater Anglia. They're affected by overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means there are currently no services from Bishop Stortford or from Hertford East to and from London's Liverpool Street. Your tickets will be taken on other national rail providers, plus London buses and London Underground services. Good news for the Tube because Northern Line is back to normal between High Barnes and Finchley Central after a signal failure earlier today. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. Right, it's coming up to 8:47. It's Friday, the 2nd of August. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's police commissioner says police stations will have to close if they want to keep up the numbers of frontline officers. Lawyers say a woman from Luton will be in pain for the rest of her life after getting injured lifting a baby into a cot at a nursery. And people in Ware say the Westmill landfill site is still emitting a hideous stench despite winning a court battle against it. Coming up, you might remember Irene. She was a fan of the royal family, so much so that she wandered around Luton singing Royal Britannia, Britannia rules the ways. Well, she's back. She's going to be singing live with us, which I'm very, very excited about. Before that, let's get the weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, good morning. Well, we're just seeing a nice little batch of showers just pushing off to the northeast now. There will be some more a bit later on through the day, but I think for most of us, a nice quiet spell, certainly across Buckinghamshire, parts of Bedfordshire. Hertfordshire, we're still going to get some of those showers, I'm afraid. We're talking sunshine and showers for the rest of the day today. Some of the showers, particularly through the afternoon, could be on the heavy, thundery side again, perhaps the odd flash or two of lightning. There will be some sunny spells in between, and in the sunshine, things not feeling too bad. Temperatures up to 25, possibly 26 degrees Celsius. The breeze, the southwesterly, just blowing the showers along quite nicely. And obviously warm in the sunshine, not as hot as it was yesterday when we did see temperatures widely creep into the low 30s in Celsius. So yeah, sunshine and showers today. The showers going on this evening as well, on and on and on. And then through the early hours, they'll gradually die away. And overnight, we'll see temperatures drop to 15 or 16 degrees. So making for a more comfortable night's sleep. It is a cold front coming through today, so tonight is going to feel a bit fresher, and so will the weekend, unfortunately. Highs on Saturday, Sunday of 22, 23 degrees Celsius. Again, some good spells of sunshine, particularly on Sunday, but you will want to watch out for some more heavy showers. That's the forecast.
Every weekday morning from 9, The JVS Show.
You just can't carry on with life. It's just awful.
With the biggest opinions.
It's about time somebody or an organisation has stood up and basically smelt the coffee.
Well, it depends on the individual, actually. Let's pollute the planet even more. We should pollute it so much your Pinot Grigio goes rotten.
And the biggest local talking points.
What we really need to do is for everyone in the country to reduce their energy consumption, not increase it.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, just calm down, you lot, for goodness sake. Don't start. Steady on. Listen, Irene, you're here.
Yes.
You were the very excitable young lady.
Yes.
Sorry. You were the very excitable lady who phoned in to... She didn't notice it, so don't...
What?
It's gone over her head. She didn't notice it, so don't bring it to her attention.
Yeah.
She can find out when she's not in the same studio as me. You went round Luton with Justin Dealey singing the praises of the new baby Prince George.
Yeah, our godson.
Yes, and well done you, and you did it, and it was lovely to hear people celebrating and bringing a bit of joy to Luton when there's so much misery and nasty things going on. What? What are you saying?
Nothing.
Wondering if the mic's on.
Yeah, we did.
You can't see no cameras.
And I can't hear myself. Oh, is that how you do it?
Yeah. I've not got you in because I wanted to have a chat while we did the news.
I was going to wonder where the cup of tea was.
Cheeky. There is no tea here. But we're on the radio. There are no cameras because it's radio. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's all right.
You've done yourself up special and everything.
Yeah.
Well, not you, but the rest of the girls.
Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you. Second insult. Yeah.
Now, Irene, you came in and first thing you said was, I want to word with you.
Yes.
You were a little bit confrontational. What's the problem between you? There's a tension between us, partly sexual, but there's also something else.
Yes.
What's the problem?
You telling me I don't know the words to songs.
Okay.
You know, I'm having problem with words to songs, but I'm only singing it the way I hear it.
So you're singing... You were singing Royal Britannia... Britannia rules the ways.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Do you know that's wrong on two levels?
Yes. But now I know that now, but when I heard it was rule Britannia rules the waves.
It is Waze.
Because
It is Waze.
Oh,
You
it's
said
Waze.
Waze.
Oh, Waze. Okay. Rule the way.
No,
Waves.
Waves. Oh, poor thing.
I know.
Oh, just getting on in age.
Thank you.
You're going to walk out in a minute. Don't. We love you. We love you. You're a good sport. We love you. Now listen, your voice was excellent. Do you do much singing professionally? Do you go and do it professionally?
Only when I'm hoovering the house I sing.
You should go and do it on stage and stuff.
Oh, come on. Do you want them to boo me off?
You've got a cracking voice.
Cracking is right.
Oh, no. That wasn't me.
I'll have to load about.
So listen, you've got... These are your sisters. So who are you all?
We're Voices with Soul.
Right, OK. And you've been on the X Factor. You're, like, proper famous.
Well, yeah.
Why is...
And Big Brother.
Why is... A Big Brother. Why is Irene not part of Voices with Soul?
She's the cook.
Come here.
I have to bring you some dinner.
Come here. Come and give me
one day.
Listen, you're getting a tough time. I love you. Come here, darling. Oh.
She's better off in the kitchen. Oh, you should see what's going on in this studio.
Love the aftershave.
Oh, at least he's got it on.
Do you want a cup of tea?
No,
we had one.
No. Do you want a cup of tea, Irene?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Bring in a cup of tea for Irene, please. We're not doing anything till we get a cup of tea.
Yeah, no sugar, no milk. Oh, look at this.
Look at this.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. All right.
Is that not all right? What's wrong?
No, milk.
Another cup of tea without milk for Irene, please.
That's like how I sing the song.
Yeah, another cup of tea. Another cup of tea. We'll get you one. Don't worry. I mean, she's not got more important things to do. Flippin' heck. Right. Now, are you going to sing a song for us?
What do you want us to sing, Iain?
Oh, Iain, you were talking about the vest and the men go naked and all that.
Topless, yes.
Topless
Naked,
men.
Irene,
I mean, sorry.
come on.
Yeah, topless. I think they, because some men walk topless and with their T-shirts in their hand like handbags.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think they should wear vests. You know them lovely colour vests that they got.
You don't get vests anymore, do you?
Yeah, man.
Yes, you do in the market, Pearly Market.
You get them crochet vests and all that.
You don't want a string vest?
Yes!
No, you don't want a... You don't...
Yeah, that's nice.
String vest and a handkerchief with knots on it. And sandals with socks.
That's what's missing. The knotted handkerchief hat. That's what we need to bring back. That was big in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Sometimes,
Will you please sing us a flipping song?
What song, Iain?
I don't know what you know.
We Are Family.
We know songs. She doesn't.
Irene, what song would you like to sing?
We Are Family.
Okay, but let's have that.
I won't start it off because...
Okay, now listen, what we're going to... ladies, I'm going to need you to move around here a little bit if you're going to join in, because that microphone is not particularly working. I might need you to... I suspect you've got quite loud voices, haven't you?
Yeah, very loud.
Okay, well, I'll see what I can do to make this half decent. But ladies, away you go.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. Yeah, we are family. Woo! Get up, everybody, and sing. Everyone can see we're together as we walk on by. Fly, and we fly like a bird of a feather. I won't tell no lie. Oh, all the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Well, let me stay for the record. We're giving love in a family dose. Yeah, we are family. I got all my sisters with me. I got all my sisters. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
Oh, fantastic! That was brilliant!
Oh,
I love it!
Yeah. I didn't know a word to
It's true. She didn't know a word to it.
I was miming.
Oh, I love it. Can you? We got 2 minutes. Can you squeeze another 2-minute song in?
Yeah.
What are you going to do for us now?
Do you want us bridge?
Yeah. Right. Let's have that. Away you go.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down.
Listen, Irene, I'm off for 2 weeks soon. Do you want to do my job for a couple of weeks?
I don't mind. I don't mind coming with you.
I'm going with my wife. It might
that's
be
all right. You have to tell her everything. Anyway.
Voices with Soul. It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much, Irene. It's so lovely to meet you.
And thank you, Luton. I love you, Luton.
And we love you. You're such a good sport. It's lovely to see you, my dear. Right, let's get... Oh, what did you want to say?
I wanted to say hello to Mrs. Vaughan. Love you, Mrs. Vaughan.
We
and Mummy.
Oh, for goodness.
And everybody. And Deirdre.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still got a bit of trouble in Sandy this morning. The A603 remains closed, and this is because of an accident between the A1 at the Sandy roundabout and the St John's Road at Mogger Hanger. A602, this is in Stevenage. Eastbound, there's a lane closed between the A1M and the Glaxo roundabout. They've widened the footpath so people can walk the Eastern Electrics Festival safely, and that's causing a fair bit of extra traffic. Church Street into Dunstable looking slow coming toward the A5. Anti-clockwise M25 still slow into the roadworks. Greater Anglia got trouble this morning because of overhead wire problems at Cheshunt. It means trains between Bishop Stortford and Hertford East to and from Liverpool Street are suspended. A limited bus service runs Broxbourne and Cheshunt to and from Enfield Town. Tickets taken on other rail providers. Now half-hour delays as well for East Midlands trains because of signal problems at West Hampstead. First Capital Connect affected as well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Can you please, for goodness sakes, be quiet? I'm trying to finish this.
Trying our best. Yeah, we're trying.
All right, over to Jonathan. I'm going to send them into your show, Jonathan.
FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good grief. I don't think I could cope. Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. Friday and on today's Big Phone In. Do you think it's right to claim compensation when things go wrong? A former nursery worker has won her